stream, which is basically like the rules of everything.
Sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Round 4 Talkback. I have the immense pleasure to be here with the builders of the Head-to-Head 10. It's weird saying 10. I don't know why Brian in his videos calls it Head-to-Head 10 in the title of the videos. H2HX sounds so much better, but we're here talking about Round 4 with the builders, and I have the absolute pleasure to be joined by Saxman. Before we sort of get into Screameasy, I'll just say to everybody present, if you're on mic, if you're in the chat, whatever you're doing, be careful about what you say. You don't want to accidentally leak something and get like your team disqualified, especially at this point in the contest where everybody's been doing so amazingly well. That being said, without further ado, I will hand it over to Saxman to tell us a bit about this, frankly, unfairly good park.
Yeah, so no, I just I said in the chat that Leon isn't going to be able to make it. He's traveling, and he told me to tell you, Sammy, that you're very cute.
Oh, thank you. He's very cute as well. I loved him in Dune.
Yeah, he kind of does look like. Anyway, no. So this park, we started this back almost at the beginning of the competition. It was early April. We were throwing around ideas and Leon threw this idea out, and it was an immediate hit for me. I love this era of American history, and it just, you know, it's just a perfect opportunity to build some awesome architecture, some, you know, urban stuff, and really, you know, the idea I thought was really, really solid. It's like a really solid head-to-head idea, you know, alternate history. What if X happened instead of Y? And so we kind of just ran with it. We everything we did was kind of driving towards that initial thought of, you know, what if the U.S. government banned amusement parks instead of alcohol? And everything we did and put in this park was kind of to further that goal. My personally, like what I did was I started with the bridge. For those of you who don't know, I'm a bridge engineer by trade. It's what I do in my day-to-day job. And I said to Leon, you know, hey, what do you think about a big bridge to kind of set the story and say, hey, this is New York City, like, and make it immediately identifiable, the location that we're in. And so I started out with some tests. I shared them on the site, the first test I did, and it just got more and more detailed after that. Space K made these amazing bridge cable objects, and so they're not quite curved. They're all straight, but there's enough different angles that you can kind of make any kind of curved shape you want. We wanted them to be able to be used in other things. There's actually a whole set of those objects out there that don't have the little bands that go around and hold the vertical suspender cables. I think only the flat ones made it into this park for whatever reason. We didn't really need the other ones, but the whole set has been made. And so that'll be released at some point in the future, I'm hoping. But yeah, it started with this. We set up the macro, put the bridge in, kind of detailed it, and then everything else kind of was set out from an original macro sketch that Leon did of having kind of like a Times Square area, and having two kind of indoor hidden parks. Trying to think of what else to just say off the cuff here. I mean, working with Leon was fantastic on this. Such a good builder. Like, I mean, he would just crap out these amazing facades. Like, I think that red building on the corner there with the Squib Dental Cream, like that was just done in one day. Like one day it was not there, and then the next day it was. Amazing. Unbelievable. The one building I did is the Kane's apartment tenement block right there with the Thuzy Roll sign on the side of it. That's my one building in this entire map. Mainly because Leon and Bubsy just went to town.
Yeah, like Leon and Bubsy are scary when it comes to that sort of like facade type building thing, because they're just eye for detail is just very scary.
I mean, just amazing how well, you know, some of these buildings just went together. I can take credit for the shutdown amusement park there. We had this we had more piers there, and we were like, well, what can we do with that area that's not just like, piers? How could we add to the narrative a little more? And I said, well, why don't we build like a closed down like Riverside amusement park there? And then it kind of just started out with like the little Wild Mouse layout, and it was, it was just a one night build, like the layout and the carousel and the Ferris wheel and everything was set up there. And then we just added detail on it over the next couple weeks. And then, I think it was the original idea was to just have the ship, like the cargo ship, stealing ride pieces to take to other parks. It was going to be like, yeah, they were stealing them. But I think it was in the last couple days before the deadline, we decided, well, there's going to be a protest there. So why don't we make it that they're protesting that the government is taking the rides away? And so we kind of changed some of the stuff. Some of the like peep scenes and staff names and whatnot to kind of flesh that out a little more. And so now there's a reason for the protest because the people are protesting that the rides are being taken away and they can't ride them and all that. And it's just really kind of funny because right across the street there's an entrance to a giant indoor Screameasy, so to speak.
It really is just a genius idea, because there's that romantic notion, obviously, of the speakeasies back in the day, and how sort of apocryphal those stories are, I'm not sure, but the idea that there can be like parties going on under like the police's nose during like Prohibition is such like a fun concept just to begin with. And then you factor into that, the novel idea of, we've banned rides. So people, because amusement parks are fundamentals of the human experience in the same way that like alcohol is, there's this booming black market for amusement rides. Is just such a fun, like romantic fantasy idea. It really is genius. I bet you guys were so smug when you started working on this. Just like even before the execution, just the idea is just so like fun.
Yeah, right from the get-go, we were just like, hey, this idea is awesome. Like we were fully into the idea. We thought it was an amazing head-to-head concept, and then it was just execution. And we started this in, like I said, we started this in April, and I built on this thing, I don't know, not every day, but I don't know, 5 days a week for 2 hours, something like that. Since then, just building a little bit here, a little bit each night. It's kind of all I have time for now is building it at night after my kids go to bed, and built it as much as we could and improved things multiple times. And, the extra week we got for the site being down was kind of a blessing for this too, because we could have finished it the week before. And so we had so much time to polish everything, add some stuff, keep getting narrative stuff in.
Yeah, what a luxury.
Yeah, it was just, there was no rush at the end. A little bit of rush at the end, but it was not like, placing objects. It was like making sure that I think Space K's little jazz band in the back corner there, getting all those objects in, because he was making those kind of almost at the end before the deadline. The other thing is the billboards. So we came up with the idea like, hey, we got to plaster this thing full of these like old-timey advertisements, because if you look at any kind of reference pictures from this time period, there were just so many different billboards, and they all had like something unique about them. It was like a saying, or like it was, if it was a billboard for hats, it had a giant hat on it, or, the Black Cat cigarettes was, and we just went for it. Those are made out of those Ethan glass square objects. There's 8 of them, and you can just paint them. I made the Black Cat cigarettes one off of an ad that it was literally a Black Cat cigarettes ad. If you Google it, it'll probably come up, the exact picture that I modeled it off of. Leon painstakingly made the smoking guy that you can see from the other map, the other side. That one. Painstakingly did that. It was like over a couple days. He'd work on 5 rows or something, and I think he got the ad and put it in like a pixelator online.
That's what I was just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, he got the little pixel map out and then just kind of colored it, in the game. We didn't use a plugin or anything like this. This is all manually done.
Wow. Because I did wonder whether you had some technology behind you, because I bet there is a way of generalizing the process, but to hear that you actually like did it like pixel by pixel is just a testament to the, I guess, belief in the concept. Because if you weren't sure that it was going to be worth it, you wouldn't have bothered. But it's one of the many things about this experience that people are going to look back on. It's going to be like a watershed moment for let's call it pixel art abuse in further contexts.
Yeah, I mean, it works really well when you have a big image like that. I think is 5 by 5 or 5 tiles, wide by equivalent height. If you get much smaller than that, it's kind of hard. So if you swing back over to the cat one, that one, I started out doing exactly what Leon did, but I actually vastly simplified it in the end. Because the color didn't vary as much, I was trying to put like these other kind of colors in, but it ended up being just better if I just made it black, gray, and white, and I kind of manually changed some things from there. And then that was the first one I did, and then I did Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut's great.
Mr. Peanut, and that one I had a reference image and I just went for it. I didn't even like pixelate the image or anything. I just kind of went for it. Turned out pretty good. The same thing with the 2 cent, the 2 cent on the Thuzy Roll sign. Like that was just manually made too. Like it wasn't, wasn't copied from anything.
Yeah.
I just before I keep blabbing here, Brightside was amazing. He did all the peep scenes on this, and there's like 80 of them or something. He made that fire truck that you could kind of see in the right of the screen there, and the box truck that's loading track pieces up further over to the right there.
Sorry,
made those two things.
Forgive my ignorance. Did Brightside build on this? Yeah.
Yeah, he built.
Why is he not yapping then? Why is he not in here?
I only did a very small amount. My share ended up being 3%. And I think a majority of that was all the peep scenes, which there was I think about 80 written scenes, and then also all the ME members as staff, making them into their 1920s Prohibition era kind of names. There's a lot of fun ones in there.
Oh, god damn it. I didn't even realize that I might be in here.
Oh, you definitely are.
And I have to take this moment to apologize to Gustav, because I accidentally dropped them into the void, or the abyss, about 3 or 4 days before the deadline, and I didn't know which staff member I had dropped. And
oh no!
I assumed that I would find out after the park was released, and I totally did. So, yes, really? Gamma, Gustav died twice this round. That's exactly right.
It's really who's came out first? You guys came out first, didn't it? It was just a what do you call it? It was like a post-credit scene for the sequel, which was going to be Murder in McAllan.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just to reiterate, the building process with Leon on this was great. It was really collaborative. Like, he'd add something, I'd add something to that, he'd add onto it again, and it was just really, really great that way. So this whole haul, this thing is Leon's brainchild. I think Bubs did some of the detailing in here, but the coaster layout I love. I love this coaster layout. He did an amazing job with this. All of just like the Coney Island type styling that's going on here is just amazing. The Coney Island sign, those like kind of sun-shaped objects at the right, those are all discos with like certain things null colored. And when he came up with that idea and how good it looked, I was just floored. I just didn't understand how someone could come up with that.
Something that I love in this, which might go, I'm sure it's noticeable for 99% of people, but the curved station, I'm sure that's like a shoestring.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. But like a curved station is just such like a cute thing to execute, and it adds just a sleekness to like a place where you want it to be sleek. Like it works for the context.
Yeah, and so I wasn't convinced of the curved station until we put that column there. Because it was just curved, and there was no reason for it to be curved. And then Leon just put a column there. I was like, hey, that works. That works for me, because now there's a reason for it to be curved. And it kind of makes sense. Like you're fitting in the coaster around all the different columns, and this warehouse that it's in, right, presumably was something else before it was an underground amusement park.
Yeah.
So the hack, like we knew we wanted it shoestringed, and 94 did the shoestringing for that, the curve station, and also the balloon ride, because we wanted that and asked him to do that. He said, "Yep, I can do it." All the other shoestrings in the park I did. I'm amazed I still remembered how to do those after like 3 years of not playing the game. But I want to point out that the rat cars for the like hanging circle ride right in the middle of the screen now. The idea was that they were stolen from the Wild Mouse outside and put in here.
It's a great idea.
Just and kind of the same thing with the carousel horses too. They kind of, were kind of stolen. Although that one is kind of just more, oh yeah, if they stole them from the Wild Mouse, they probably stole these too. But yeah, there's a secret entrance there for the laundromat. So speakeasies, apparently like entering through a laundromat is kind of a thing for speakeasies. And so if you watch there for long enough, there'll be a peep that comes through. There's like maze rides there. They'll go through, and then if you swing over to the other side, you'll see them like jump up like, yay, I got into the Screameasy. It's just like a super little fun thing. Yeah, see right there, he just jumped up. It's like, yay, I got in. But anyway, yeah, I'm just blabbing here, so I don't know if you have any questions or anything like that. I can.
Yeah,
I know the
sure.
part pretty well.
I've just you've done like a pretty comprehensive talk there, which is good job on that, because it is it's a difficult thing to do. You call it blabbing, but blabbing is a skill. So I'm glad that you were able to so eloquently, take us through the story of the park. I really appreciate that. I know this is probably like, I don't know how to describe the question, but like it's probably like a silly question, let's just say. Is there anything in here that you feel like people missed and didn't give the sort of attention that you either thought it would get or thought it would deserve?
Think so. I mean, there's so much content in here that I'm sure I'm sure people have just seen everything, but just haven't talked about it. I mean, the freak show down in the left corner there, if you move to the left a little bit, I don't think anybody really talked about those, but like there's the Time Walker. It's like one of the lightsaber peeps from Lost Aleth in there. Like, oh yeah, he came from a different time. And then there's like a peep with two heads that is made with like just a peep object plus a peep head object, which I don't even know why that exists, but there's like a small peep. And so this is like based off of like, there's freak shows of this time period that, the world's smallest man, the world's largest man, and the bearded woman. And so, making these little things was pretty fun. Just coming up with like the signs, like the two peep roller coaster tycoon heads there for Tommy Two Heads, was just kind of fun. I didn't see anybody really mention this, but I thought it was fun to take a look there.
Is this the Easter egg for me, by the way? Because we got Jens here. Jens the Tall or something, was it? Because I am famously short. I'm not.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
It might be me. But I'd be honored if it was. I don't know whether I'm famously short.
Well, you can take credit. You can be the short Sammy Smalls. I picked the first S name that came to mind, and it was Sammy. So
so it wasn't intentional.
There might be a peep there that's saying something I can't remember for sure.
Oh yeah, it says, "Get a load of this guy. He's so small, you might as well be floating."
Is it like a child peep object?
Yeah, it's just like a small or mini
That's
peep or
right.
something
It was
like
supposed
that,
to be
yeah.
a joke about
Tiny peep.
being a floater.
Ah. Outstanding.
I thought the casino and the jazz club, like I did both of those too. I thought they were just really cool additions, and Space K with the clutch little jazz musicians was just great.
Yeah, they rule.
We had and that I had the idea at some point. I was making the bridge and I was making this area, and I was like, well, it looks kind of like it's floating over this area of the park, the bridge. I'm like, well, what if I put like a support there, like it would be in real life? But then it's going to block everything. And so the theme of this park was just like cutout, like make a cutout, make a traditional. And so why not just cut right through the supports? And so make it obvious that you're like looking through like kind of like an X-ray. And I thought it was pretty neat to put like the little seating areas between the bridge columns that go all the way down. I thought that was pretty cool.
You were right.
And would be right. Like would be like kind of like, you know, any kind of club or like I've played a bunch of different video games, and all the clubs in any video game I've played has like these little private areas where like you go and meet up with like some fixer or something,
with the boss.
Right? And so like that's kind of the vibe I was going for there. Like, yeah, these are the little kind of booth areas that people can go meet with the boss.
Definitely. When I used to go to nightclubs and stuff, those were like basically like a sensory overload if I found myself in a booth. They're too much. And it's dark and it's loud. No thanks. I'm trying to think what questions I have about this. There's too many questions, to be honest. Because it is one of those parks with just so much stuff in it. Let's think.
The sign available, call 7224. So I did look up and find out that New York phone numbers were 4 digits at this time.
Oh my God.
And that was back still when you had like party lines and stuff. Like you'd call and you'd call a line, and then they'd have to transfer it to somebody, and you'd actually get through with an operator. And so that was like, I found like an actual 1920 list of phone numbers in New York City, and that was the first one I pulled off of. I don't know if it means anything, but
incidentally, that's my PIN number.
Oh, well. Everybody hear that?
Everyone go steal my identity. Just trying to think.
A lot of the billboards are based off of real life things. So like New York Edison Electric Company, I think, is still the electric company that provides service to New York City. At least it was definitely at the time. The Heinz 57 billboard that's right up in the right hand corner there. That's copied from some reference image. The Arrow Collars one, if you rotate the view once, that one's based off of, if you go to the left, down a little bit. Yeah, the follow the arrow and you follow the style, Arrow Collars, like that was one that I copied right out of a reference image. And thought it was funny that people were saying, oh yeah, Arrow Development, like the roller coaster company, and it had nothing to do with Arrow Development, but it's a nice little crossover. The Dodge Brothers motor cars, the Omega watch, like the watch I kind of made up. I was like, well, what would they put on a billboard for a watch at this time period? Oh, a giant watch, you know?
Yeah. It's like literally just the
whole entrance through the bank vault with all the gold bars. That was Leon's idea. That was one of the ones that, if you scroll over to the left there, that was one of the ones that Leon had from the very beginning. It was like, yeah, we're gonna have a bank. You can enter through the bank vaults and get into the Screameasies or the jazz club that way. We did go a little bit. So the security guard you just pulled up, we kind of did old school movement where we didn't want peeps. We just decided to put some staff moving around in there just to make a little bit tiny movement, so you didn't have a lot of like a lot of dead space. So we did that down by the docks too, just having some peeps moving around, but we didn't want like the whole influx of all the peeps because we thought that would ruin the vibe somewhat. There's for any fans of Friends, there's
I just saw
Mr.
that.
Brightside, the whole pivot joke that or the whole pivot scene is in there. But I think there's a lot of New York references in some of them, in some of these peep scenes. So I'm not even sure where all of them are, to be honest.
Was there
Mr. B would take the park. Mr. B would take the park and be like, "Oh, I added 10 more peep scenes. I added 10 more peep scenes." Like it was a period of a couple days where he just would add more and more.
What a legend! And to get 3% out of that, I guess that just speaks to the actual like quantity of stuff on this park.
Yeah,
like you put in hours and hours of work, and I felt like that after Constellations. Like I worked so hard on that, and I only got 15%. But that's just a testament to like just how hard Dino and JK worked on it. It's
so crazy. Like I felt, we were talking about shares, and we all felt like all of our shares should be higher.
Yeah,
it's like how could you work on this but we landed on something we were all happy with, and if you kind of take that as a percentage of 2 parks, that's kind of what it felt like. Like, building the quantity of stuff on this map is like 2 parks in one. And so, but yeah, this is super fun. I'm so happy I signed up for head-to-head. I wasn't going to, and then last couple hours I did, and I had a blast with this. And it really rekindled my love for the game. So with that, I don't have much else to say on this. I hope I know people have enjoyed it from all the reviews, but
the fact that it's the highest rated head-to-head park of all time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that maybe speaks to the level of appreciation. Do you think, because I'm looking at this and I'm kind of thinking, what was the reason why something this good wasn't made before? Is this just like a conceptualizing like issue, or was there maybe like a technological advancement which you feel made this more possible, or just like even a culture of Roller Coaster Tycoon thing that made this idea more possible, or more like plausible, or brought the idea more enthusiasm? What do you think about that?
I think it was kind of a perfect storm of things happening. I mean, I've been gushing over Leon ever since we started this, but like, man, I'm 100% convinced he's the top builder on the site right now. There's nothing that, will convince me otherwise of that. And it was just like his dedication to fully, bringing this theme to the most maximum execution he possibly could. And also like some technological advancements as well, just like there's so like being able to use so many different objects and so many different trim pieces. And I feel like, before head-to-head, I hadn't played for about 2.5 years. And I feel like just the number of trim pieces available that are small and detailed has just exploded in those past 2 years. And so kind of trying to figure out how to use those was also a learning process for me. But I think that made a lot of these Art Deco details a lot more tangible, because now you could have 2,000 different small objects, and so you could have all these little objects that you can make these kind of detailed images with. Previously you could probably do something like this, but I don't think that it would be as detailed and as Art Deco-y as it is in this park.
For sure.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, just like, so a lot of the billboards, the like half diagonal billboards were made with like those, the custom, the CTRs that are letters. And so a lot of these are like made by placing them on a curve, and then moving them into position, I think with their ride vehicle editor. Yeah. And so like that kind of plug-in has made some of these things possible. And one of the other things is just the signs. Space K's new signs, with the like different fonts. I know we really only used like the one font, the like cursive font that he made is in a few different places here. But yeah, like that quiet please right there. But just the variation in cap, having caps versus, lowercase or title case or whatever, just makes the sign so much easier to make. And that makes this look so much more realistic, as opposed to before when you just had like the standard RCT signs, those like block letters. And we use those in some places, but they're not as good as these letters that Space K made. And so, I think those are probably the top technological advances that I would say helped enable this. But a lot of it is just Leon's dedication, and just being really motivated by the idea. You get a good idea, you want to do it justice, and I think we did that here.
I think you did too. Well, I want to thank you for giving us this insight into this frankly unbelievably good park. Fascinating to hear sort of like the process, and I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. I know you've been patting Bubsy, Brightside and Leon on the back, but just goes to show, when someone's got it, they've got it, even if they've been out for 2.5 years. I'm really glad that you signed up, an asset to the community to bring this park to life, and thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Sammy, and thanks for having me. It's great, and I'm happy to be back in the community, talking to friends new and old, and this head-to-head has been great so far. So,
100%
really
agree.
looking forward to finishing out this season. So, go Jazz Cats! Hopefully, we make it in the playoffs, and be able to face the Canes again, maybe.
That's the nightmarish thing about this competition at this point is like, basically every team deserves to be in the playoffs. It's insane. Yep. Everybody has smashed it. There's not really, not to get like negative, but like some competitions it's been a bit more clear who's going to get through, but this competition has just been so consistent and so strong. It really just goes to show the power of the community at the moment.
We've got 6 evenly matched teams, I would say. And really, I think the only thing keeping some of the teams out of the playoffs is just going to be luck. It's just going to be, which park goes against which. Yeah. And so the fact that it's coming down to that is just, like you said, great for the community. So.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And get the hell off my stream.
Thanks, Sammy.
Lots of love. Is there anyone else around? Who have we got who's going to be yapping for our amusement? I know that Scoopy is going to be around later on. Levis, would you like to chat?
Sure.
How you doing, mate?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very...
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I hope...
Let's pop this bad boy open.
I hope the audio is fine. I'm sitting in the train at the moment.
It's sounding fine right now. We'll certainly let you know if it drops off or anything. How are you?
I'm on a mobile internet connection, so we'll see. I'm fine.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
We're just watching it pop off at BaseX.
Yeah. So, keep the button pressed, I'd say.
Oh, the backspace.
Yes.
It really is an experience, the opening of this park. I don't know whether, perhaps you can correct me, I don't know whether we've seen something that's this involved to sort of open up a park before, like this big of a set piece. Is there anything that sort of like drew your like inspiration for executing something like this?
Mostly the movie Top Gun Maverick, and we kind of wanted to recreate the movie scene. I do know that there has been parks in the past with opening scenes, just a long time ago.
Yeah, I certainly remember some.
Current parks that much.
You used to open up like a Disney park, and then there'd be like rides exploding because of like the fireworks show or whatnot. But certainly nothing of this scale or like execution to have. I presume that the like missiles were like timed to be like below the planes and stuff the whole time. Is that correct?
I'm not completely sure. As far as I know, they were not planned to be this. Because also in the scene, they're kind of chasing the planes.
Ah, I see.
So they're kind of trying to
evade them.
get rid of the missiles. Yes.
I see.
So yeah.
So Lewis, thank you for coming on and talking. Tell us a bit about the process of actually putting this whole thing together.
Yeah, so without spoiling too much,
Of course,
we had a bit of a challenge with our planning. So many people already said the park felt a little bit unfinished, a little bit undercooked. It was built in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to come up with something because reasons. And we decided to try to go for the speed build and see for a kind of theme which we knew we would be able to pull off quickly. So going with a lot of landscaping, especially using the Dulcimer rocks.
Yeah.
Get an atmosphere quite quickly while not taking too much effort, and by going for like an Arctic so on.
Yeah.
And could this way try to make sure that we build a lot quicker. So that was kind of the original idea, and we touched around multiple different ideas and then came to this. And while starting to conceptualize it, we were kind of afraid of going with purely a war team, purely a base. I've got myself some traumas about this. People who read the recap of H2H 5 will probably know.
Yeah.
So,
hey Leo,
yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah. Hi, Darren.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on and say
made us.
I just want to jump on and say I was really proud of basically Levis and Big Shooter Gill. They took the lead on this, and they did a great job. As he mentioned, this was basically a 3-week park. What happened was our other parks were running a little slow. We knew that if we tried to push one of our parks, pre-planned parks for round 4, we were basically gonna, have a rushed park going up against the Jazz Cats, and we knew the Jazz Cats were hungry for a win, and we knew yeah. Oh, you're in a tunnel. Okay, good timing for me to help out my teammate here. They're going through a tunnel, but yeah. So yeah, basically we kind of sensed a very tough matchup coming, and we decided to save our pre-planned parks that had a more time put into them. And yes, I'm sort of making excuses, but at the end of the day, we put up a really nice park. We knocked a vote off Screameasy, which is not actually easy.
Tall order, and potentially the best vote as well. You got the Mr. Tycoon Coaster vote, which is coveted
Brazil,
across the land.
Yeah, we're very popular in Brazil, the Hurricanes,
Honestly, like, this is such like a high concept park to like pull off in that amount of time. I bet it was no small feat to get
No,
I know it's very like it's very like vibey park, and I suppose that's like plays into it. Like, you executed like a really good vibe, but there's a lot going on in this park. This is not like isn't what I'd call like an idea that's like what do you call it, like asking to be speed built. So I'm really impressed with the quality of what's put out in the time scale as well. And sometimes you have just got to make those sort of tactical decisions, don't you? And I think I don't know whether it's going to like pay off, of course, but I'm sure you guys have thought it through, and you've got to do what you've got to do sometimes. So fully respect the hustle to get this thing out, and you should be so like proud of yourselves for doing that. Because as Speakeasy has shown, obviously, maybe all the rest of the parks would have had the same sort of like vote outcome. Just because the Speakeasy's the Speakeasy. So take the loss with a grain of salt, I think.
We did.
It's also, we never really went in expecting to win. We were mostly trying to snag some votes.
Yeah.
And this is also why I kind of always took this park with the idea I also often used in stuff like Micro Madness in the past.
Yeah.
Where I knew I couldn't really beat the people on aesthetics. At least for me personally, my aesthetic skills are not good enough. We had some other people on the team who did have very good aesthetic skills. So for me, it was really what kind of concepts can I add to the park, which kinds of ideas, which might have not been seen for a long time or not at all, we can add to maybe snag these 1 or 2 votes if there's like a opponent park which doesn't resonate with everybody. That was kind of my idea going into this, and this is also why it's a high concept park, really trying to show a lot of techniques, hoping that we would maybe get this voter which also likes the technical part of RCT and would be wowed by some of the new things. In the end, sadly, at least some of the ideas I had, I would have loved to work on them a bit more and enhance them a bit more. But I still think that they turned out okay. I would have just loved to have like a couple more days to make them pop out more.
Of course. That all makes sense. I really respect the this sort of like strategy there of going for it. I know I was mentioning, like, I personally wouldn't have used this for a speed build, and that's why I was like so impressed by it. But like, now that you've said that, Levis, like that makes a lot more sense. Like you go high concept to pull off the strategy. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm 100% sure there's going to be a lot of answers to this, but is there anything in this park that you feel like people missed or that you want to bring attention to in this moment? Have we lost connection?
Sorry, I was... Yeah, do you hear me again?
Hello. Yes, I can.
Sorry, like I said, I'm on a mobile connection. It was the only way to really join this way.
No, I really appreciate you taking the effort as well.
So yeah, going for this high concept idea, and this is also the plugin we added to the park.
Yeah.
This was also kind of the idea. We were floating around this plugin for a while. Sadly, due to some changes I had to do, you can't check it anymore. But I think actually, if you go back to some of our old parks, you will still see remnants in the parks of the plugin actually being used, but in the end, decided not to be used. So if you take, for example, our round 2 park and you use the manager part of the plugin, you will see that there were actually stuff set up, but in the end not being used. Because every time we felt it was not adding enough. So this is also why, while creating this park, I tried to really build around it and see for many ways to use it. And I had many more ideas to use it and many more ways to make it more flashy. But in the end, mostly just run out of time. And some of the things I added in the end were not as visible as I had hoped they would be.
Is there anything that you want to highlight?
There's one thing, if Levis doesn't mind me jumping in, is actually if you scroll down a little to the bottom right on your screen, Sammy, zoom in there on the track. Yeah,
The eyes under the track?
over. Yeah, Leo, you could tell them about that effect there.
Yeah, so you see that there's a part of the coaster which is on the ice at the moment, just where the support ends, yes. And if we wait for a second, if the coaster passes, so if the train passes over, you will see that the ice under the track will actually break, disappear, and then slowly grows back again.
Ooh. Come on, train, where are you?
This was also my experience while testing this. Every time being like, train, where are you?
Oh
And
there's
one more spot.
One coming.
It's almost there. Yeah, there's one more spot where it also happens. It's visible from our other side, but here is the most visible part. We try to put it here because we expected some views to be here.
Oh yeah.
So you actually see that the ice breaks, and then it takes a short while, and then the ice will come back.
Well, hey.
So now you see that the ice is back. So these kind of things, and there's also, if the train enters the station, there's some pumps there on the right.
Yeah, I was looking at those earlier, and I'm like,
but if the train
I'm sure that's
if the train
animated.
goes by them, if the train goes by them, they will also vent steam from the top, for example.
Oh, see, this. You were too big brain about this. It's too subtle.
And
yes,
remember,
and
we
this
did
is also
in a hurry. This was built very quickly too.
Yeah, there's the thing I really wanted to use it for is the shooter ride. So the snowmobiles going around. I think not many people actually caught on to the name of the ride. I'm not sure if you can open the ride where they have like the small snowmobiles going around.
Yeah. Well, I'll just wait to do the Steam thing and show that off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. All right, let's find a snowmobile.
There's one. I don't think many people actually caught on to the name. It's biathlon. So it's a wordplay on biathlon, which is normally like langlaufing and shooting.
Yeah.
So this is the billionaire version, where they're kind of lazy. So instead of doing langlaufing, they're just riding on snowmobiles and then start shooting. So this is why you have the targets moving at these different spots where the snowmobile stops. This is then where they start shooting. And by using the plugin, we actually have the targets also animated. So slowly holes will appear into these targets. By doing recoloring of the targets, slowly more and more holes appear in these targets. This one is a bit bugged, and I couldn't really get it fixed. It sometimes is synced up, sometimes it doesn't. But especially the first and the third one, they show up quite well.
Let's try and find another one.
A little bit up. A little bit more up still, and a little bit to the right. A little bit to the right, and then we should be seeing it. At least, we still need more to the right, and a bit down. I thought we were at a different spot, a bit down.
Oh.
And there in the mountain, you see it. So if you keep a close look at that sign, you at that greenish thing, you see this target. You will see that sometimes the holes disappear, and sometimes, now the holes disappear, and a new car enters the building. And now the holes start appearing again. So now they start shooting again.
That's awesome.
So these were the kinds of we added by using the plugin, and I know some people noticed it, but yeah, like you said, it was probably too subtle.
Yeah, we we had a lot of cool things in this park. Again, they got it done in an amazing amount of time. They put in a ton of work. Just, we did get a little overshadowed by our opponent in this matchup. So they did sort of, grab everyone's attention. And I think a lot of nice things and a lot of cool things got overlooked in this park a little bit. We were kind of disappointed, but overall, still very proud of our guys. It was a 5-man build, and considering we had 5 people working together on a park, and he says 3 weeks, but actually, I look back and the real building on the map really started with about 15 days. So it was more like
Damn,
a 2-week build.
that
But
is scary.
especially with 5 guys working together in basically 2 weeks on map. Most of the 3-week stuff was stuff off map. Yeah, super proud of my team. A little bit of a pivot, as you know, in past seasons of H2H, I've seen big oncoming park in our path. And yes, as Leo pointed out in H2H4, I asked him to submit a fairly unfinished park with potential, and we went up against a monster corkscrewed park with I think it was Corkscrewed and JK, 2 all-time legends. Sammy, you remember those guys, right? Corkscrewed, JK.
I don't know this JK guy, but corkscrewed.
Well, there was
I love.
another one. There was a JK, and now we have a. I mean, it's the
Oh, you
same
mean? Oh,
pronunciation.
you're talking about the better JK, the one which is KAY.
Yeah, he's
I
doing
see.
well, by the way. We're in fantasy football leagues together and stuff.
Oh, awesome!
He's doing well.
Does he know how
Yeah,
cool
he's
the
doing
game
well.
is now?
I try to tell him every now and then, but he's like, "Yeah, I have kids and a job, so kids plural. That's tough." But, so
I'm glad to hear he's
Yeah,
doing well.
so I can also share a bit more due to like the deadline being moved. Actually, for me personally, for example, the last week was actually a bit weird. I was spending the week in a hotel at a conference, and at night building Roller Coaster Tycoon, and at day giving talks at conferences and so on, which was an experience by
Wow.
itself. So I had a lot less time to build as I expected. So I just posted in the voice chat a GIF of a time lapse of the last 28 hours of the park. So Saturday morning, we started building, and I think at that point, there was no second until the deadline that not somebody was building, because we had people in different time zones. Stuff happened all the
That's
time.
amazing.
And it's actually quite interesting to see in this time lapse. It's sadly a bit small. I might make a bigger one at one point. But you can see how much of it was done in like the last 28 hours of the park. It was really a last final sprint to get it all in a finished state.
That's amazing. That's so cool. This is, I looking at this park is definitely like one of the main reasons why I made why I wanted to do these live streams, because there's just so much cool stuff in this park that people just missed. So I'm really glad that we get to speak with the actual creators, and you get to talk us through all the cool stuff.
And I share one more thing, which I
Please
personally
do.
also like, and I think nobody actually picked up on it. If you have sound enabled, I don't know if you can do it now.
It might kill everybody. So
Yeah, so if you now go to like the water, if you go to the water and you have the ice pods,
the floating ice.
and you hear, listen very
awesome.
closely, you will hear actually them bobbing, making a bobbing sound. So they actually are coded that they make the sound of like water being placed. So the water placement sound, which you do like if you up and down water, this sound is being placed when these cars move around and so on. So you have the ones here which are just bobbing, you won't hear it, but if you go a bit more to the left where you have the free floating ones, if you go a bit more to the left, like where the loop is,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I could hear it somewhere and I kept going left despite the fact I could see them like on the right. And I was like, they're all the way over here.
And the same is being done with the waterfall. So also where we just were at the dam, there's like this waterfall ride. Like sound effects built into the ride. That also makes like this water sound. It's a different water sound.
That rules.
Is that the splash? Is that the river ride splash sound?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a different sound. I don't know exactly what one it is. I've not looked into the source code which one it is, but by looking into the source code of Open Roller Coaster Tycoon, I figured out that there was actually way more kinds of sound we could use. And I went to different sounds to figure out which ones we could use and add these to the rides.
So many cool ideas that I hope, we didn't get the win on this one. It is what it is. But I feel like from hearing what you're saying, there's a lot of concepts that you've really it's like a proof of concept that like these things can be done. You can do these things, which is, more valuable in a lot of ways because you can use them further in the competition if you nail how to pull them off.
I think this is a good description of my whole park catalogs ever since I started building.
I think so too, yeah. You know that when you open a Levis park, there's going to be something in there that nobody's done before. I don't feel like that's an overstatement.
I was so thrilled when I was able to get Levis in, what was that, the 10th round?
It's crazy to me.
10th or 11th or something, yeah? Yeah, 10th or 11th or something it was, yeah?
Yeah, it was the 10th round of the draft, and I was like, I can't not pick Levis here. It's too much talent and potential. I mean, and even when Jappy was available, it's like, this guy just won a spotlight. How is he available? It's H2H10. It's insanity.
It really is.
I don't know how we do H2H11. We should just quit right here.
Well, just seeing the strengths of H2H10, it proves that we've got to do a H2H11 because there's so many ideas that still haven't been done yet. Oh, amazing. Before we move on, is there anything that I know we were speaking a lot about all these little secrets. Are there any details that you feel like were missed or should get a bit more attention, or do you feel like we've hit all the cool ones?
Well, of course, I need to say the rides which are being made, the new custom rides, they're so cool. The ones which are added,
Like these.
I think they really deserve to get attention. Not only the big ones, but there's many different versions of them. If you zoom in a bit and go up a bit, there's also like big snowplows and so on being placed under these arches, for example, or these tents. There are also new custom rides. So Kinos really did an awesome job just getting all these custom rides in there.
I love Kenos.
Which I really think, really is worth mentioning.
Because it's the actual
there's
ride vehicle as well.
There's many different things, but like I said, a lot of the stuff happened in like the last few hours. So I'm still opening this park and also finding new stuff added by some of the builders, which we just never noticed before sometimes. So yeah, it's I think everybody did a very good job, and it's really hard to say who did what. This is also why we waited a long time with the dot map, because this is also somebody started the building, somebody else enhanced it a bit, then somebody continued on it. Some of the buildings really are built by almost all of the people together, just by adding stuff to it just when you had time. And I think what I find most special about this park is that we were with 5 builders in a team which is not really that common, I would say. and it doesn't really look like a park built by 5 different people. It kind of, you see some style differences here and there, but it kind of feels like still coherent enough.
No, I definitely agree
And I
with
think
that. I
This was quite for me that we.
It definitely feels very coherent and very consistent. If this was somebody's like I can't think of a different competition off the top of my head. If this was like a Pro Tours qualifier submission, I wouldn't bat an eye if this was a solo for that. It really is, a testament to the collaboration of you guys that it's come out like that. Amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking. I really appreciate it. And this was one of the ones that I was like, we need to sort of get the insider look at this one because it was just, it had, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And you came up against the squeakiest wheel in head-to-head history. So I'm really glad that we got to actually give this thing some attention and show just how great it was and just all the effort that's been put in and all of like the amazing execution that took place that may have gone unappreciated by the larger community. So I really, really appreciate Kumba and Levis taking the time to talk to us. Always a pleasure, never a chore. I hope to be chatting with you guys again soon because you've brought us more amazing creations. That being said, get the fuck off my stream.
Thank you, Sammy. We always appreciate your reviews, and the goodbye is always so nice and sweet. Thank you for.
Love you, Darren.
Thank you very much. I fuck you too.
Thank you, darling. Yeah. Amazing. Who else have we got in this dang place? Coco, do you wanna stream your solo?
Yes, I love you too.
Let's fucking party.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing?
Okay. I thought you would respond better to my love.
Actions speak louder than words, really, don't they? And I've sent you a box of chocolates. That being said, love you too, Coco.
Looking forward to that.
And
what an opening.
Speaking of love, man, were we sweating. We were sweating real bad. But from moment one through to moment the end.
Oh man, I was literally running home from work. I was like, I can't watch this in my office. I need to go home. Like, sent my girlfriend to go do the shopping. I'm like, don't look at me.
I can't imagine the stress that you experienced when you briefly went in the lead for a minute, because I know that I was stressed.
That was the best hour of my entire life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's the first hour we've been winning since round one.
What, really?
We were not in the lead at a single point in any of the other matches.
Oh my goodness.
Well done to us.
You did it. You did it. Yeah. Without further ado, I'll just hand the reins over to you. Like, what? I wouldn't even know where to begin on a park like this.
I've been rehearsing this VC in my head a little bit, but it's so far not going how I expect it to go. Do you want me to feed you some questions?
I'll give you some questions.
Ask me if I'm disappointed by the result.
Would you say that you were disappointed with the outcome of the match?
So I think there's I have 4 answers to this question. Okay, the first part of this is that I don't want to imply at all that any disappointment I have has anything to do with the LHC park. I really like the LHC park. It's a good park, completely tangential to how I thought this park was received. So let's just put that out there. Don't fight me, please.
I don't need to. We have already won.
That's true. The other thing is if only 2 votes had gone opposite ways, it would be the inverse to that question. Or were we excited about this? So I don't think it's actually emotionally fair to say that I was disappointed because I couldn't get those 2 people's votes or something like that. What really happened was that so many people whose opinion I respected, really liked the park, and that's all that we can really ask for at the end of the day. So
sure.
I am at the end of the day, I thought it was pretty fun. And it was an exciting matchup. You're right.
God, yeah. But we don't like the exciting ones on the inside. You know, we like to be on the outside of the exciting ones.
At least they're memorable.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about the process of like putting this whole thing together. You had the chance to work with the sort of the
big kahuna.
Yeah,
is Morgan still here? Morgan was here at least.
Come back, Morgan. We all need a bit more Morgan in our lives. You got to work with
what really happened was
Star Child.
You got scared. So Andrew was posting lots of these like Frank Frazetta kind of fantasy illustrations in the chat, and the three of us realized that we had all grown up with like these Buxom the Sunset Sorceress movies.
Yeah,
you know, when we were kids, watching them in our basements at home, and so we thought that would be, you know, a perfect opportunity for like a fun kind of goofy park, like, you know, a chance to like flex some architectural skills, but also be like pretty silly, because those movies they're kind of trying to be serious, but they're not serious at all at the same time, you know.
Yeah, you can tell that there was some like director in there who was like he's on so much cocaine and like, this is going to be my big break. I'm going to be like the next Spielberg, if only I'm like respected by this like next straight to VHS movie that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, like all these like sword and sorcery movies of the 80s have this weird vibe where they're like kind of like anti-hippie, like weird libertarian proto-fascist ideology. Like if you've ever seen Conan the Barbarian, like the bad guys are like a hippie cult, you know? And that's like, it's kind of the same thing for the first like 3 Buxom movies. Like the bad guy is Grimblow, and he's like turning, you know, corpses into this hallucinogenic, you know, concoction that's gonna like overthrow the social order of the like castle system, you know. And the director clearly thinks that that's a bad thing, but all of us, the audience, are like, okay, well, I'm on Team Grimblow, you know. Do we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I love stuff like that. You know, like when a director is so like clearly, I know some people are like, oh, you should keep politics out of everything. I'm of the mindset, I'm sure you are too, of like, well, politics is here whether you like it or not. And to not mention it is to actually just express that you're kind of fine with whatever's going on. But I love the kind of ignorant director getting up on the high horse. So I always love stuff like that, and they're just sort of like showing the backside. Who do we have to blame for this outstanding invert? Really, the star of the show.
I think the first rendition of this layout was me. Morgan like touched it up in a few places, and then as we kind of kept tweaking the exact extent of the castle, like we would move some pieces around. But it was pretty much there from the beginning of the map in essentially this form.
Damn. And did that give you like confidence to like move forward with the idea? Are you the sort of builder who's like, oh, if I don't get the coaster down, then I don't really feel as confident? Or were we pretty confident with or without the ride that it was going to be like a great concept that sort of brings itself to life?
To be honest, despite being a big coaster fan, I would like just as gladly not build them in every head-to-head park. I know that's a ticket straight to the lost zone, but since we punched it anyway, we might as well not have put anything in it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth the effort.
I'm really happy with the invert. What we actually really wanted, because we were looking at the old vampire design by Lewis
of course.
and RCT Fan, which is like one of the most remembered, completely unfinished parks of all time, because that layout is so fantastic. And we're like, nobody is making good inverts anymore. Like, let's build something that's genuinely memorable. And I think we mostly succeeded. Vampire is still better. This one has a few clunks in it, but it was a more challenging environment to put it on top of, I think.
Yeah, Vampire is just kind of like on the ground. And it's not contextually very exciting. It's just that like its flow is basically unmatched.
I actually really like that trench that it runs through that like separates through the city.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like a kind of natural piece of park making that I quite appreciate.
But it's not this. I think we can agree on that.
No, this one's much more bombastic. I mean, I love the drop that goes like kind of underneath the station after the mid-course brake run. That was probably my favorite moment, especially from when you turn the angle 3 times from here and you can kind of, it goes underneath the queue. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
awesome.
just be so fun in real life.
Yeah, you can just imagine it like the darkness of like coming out of that and then into the light as it comes up here. I think I'm glad that you're here actually, Coco, because I think that I can give you the information that would have actually won you the round. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
I'll just do it for you. Doing that would have won my vote. It is a crime that should be punishable by like, you should be like beaten up for like covering up the what do they call it?
The other angle is the money shot anyway.
But like, why if you have 2 money shots, why do you cover one of them up? Oh, the other one's better.
None of us are lasting for 2 money shots. What are we talking about?
Speak for yourself. I've got 2 money shots for a what is this called? Is it called a Batwing?
Yeah, Batwing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've certainly got multiple.
They're so good. What a good element.
They're awesome. They're so, and like obviously like you know that, and you've put like something going over the top of it.
Yeah, that is the best part of Vampire. Also, is the Batwing that they get in there. So
yeah, it's crazy. I feel like if you'd have done that, you might have got the victory. I know that the hindsight's 2020.
I think I placed those trees and not Andrew.
I think that's noble of you to like fall on that sword. I'm going to blame Andrew.
I'm pretty sure it is. He touched up a lot of the stuff that I did, so it's hard to remember exactly. This whole park was pretty much me doing something slightly amateurishly, and then Andrew coming in and being like, nah. So pretty much anytime I wanted something done and I felt like it wasn't happening quick enough, I would have a crack at it, and then Andrew would just storm in and be like, no, come on.
So it's like you're like baiting Andrew to come in and like do something amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole entrance to the castle, I did my own version of it, like where the main bridge is and then that tower and stuff. I could show a screen of it sometime. It's so much worse than Andrew's version. But as soon as I made it, he's like, I can't have this, you know?
I guess sometimes you get something put in front of you and then you have a more clear vision of like what you should do to like bounce off that idea. So I know it's we kind of like say in jest, oh, I do something bad and then Andrew does it. But I'm sure you did the same with his stuff as well. Where you, even if you just fed back on something that he'd done.
I would, yeah, it was a very like iterative building process in that sense. But usually when Andrew put something down, it was correct from the first time.
He's just one of those guys then.
Yeah. Watching him and Alex both like build things, I was continually, you know, blown away by the clarity of the vision they have for the architecture. I will say, I think this is the best castle that's ever been made in Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's like, it's thick, it's hefty, you know, it has all of the like, you know, sometimes people build these castles and they're like paper thin, like the walls are made of plaster or something. But like this one is like stones which have been pulled out from the mountain it's on, you know, it has these like incredibly detailed turrets and
it's so like textural as well. It's so like,
yeah.
You know, we can look at this and think, oh, you're just like spamming these. You open up Roller Coaster Tycoon and you spam these and you see whether it looks this good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I had to do some like filling in part out of it, like I just realized how like, and I was trying to like right click to like remove pieces so I could change where the coaster goes. Something it'd take me like an hour just to get rid of all the little bits.
Fucking hell. Because again, like with all these parks, I've just got too many questions. Like round 4 was just insane. It was just crazy. I guess I'll just do my talkback question. Are there any sort of like details in this park? I'm sure there's going to be many. Are there any details in this park that you feel like were a bit overlooked and you want to bring attention to, or anything that like any secrets that you hid?
Firstly, there's reflections on the entire map. Like on the water everywhere are full reflections of the park done with one angle objects.
It's crazy.
You know, especially if you go to the caves, I think it looks really nice over there.
Yeah, it's gorge. It really adds to the vibe as well, because it's obviously like picking out the sort of high contrast colors and stuff.
Yeah, that was something we had planned from the very beginning, and then, you know, had to spend a few hours near the end once it was all kind of set in stone putting in.
Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, you'd have to wait to the end to do that.
Yeah, and there was a few times where I thought we had finished something, and then Andrew would come in and be like, "Nah, actually, it needs to be better." And so I would have to, delete the little thingies and do it again. But no, it was worth it.
I am kind of upset that we beat you and Andrew and who else built on this one? Sorry,
Morgan.
Yeah, because like I always worry, like I know that you guys are like hardy people and you mature and everything, but sometimes when someone loses in head to head, they can be a bit like demoralized. I'm always like sick to my stomach that we'll like lose a Morgan or we'll lose a Coco or an Andrew, to just being like, I can't be bothered. I put in all this effort and it didn't pan out. But I know that you guys have got your heads screwed on straight.
I'm putting on a nice face for you right now, Sammy.
I'm never opening this game ever again.
Now, there's a few more cool things, like this half-diagonal ship here. I don't think anybody mentioned. I thought that was a nifty little kind of...
Yeah, I was looking at that. It's like I was...
Yeah, I love the way the sun catches on the sail from the right angle.
Oh!
It's so nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, it really is just it's annoying. I've said this every round. Like we've got all these parks, and like one of them has to lose, and it's kind of stupid that one loses.
Yeah. I don't know which one. They both deserve to win. It's all good.
I wish that every round there was just 3 parks that were bad and 3 parks that were good.
Exactly. I would rather thrash my competition. I don't want some good park to go up against.
Exactly.
What else was good? This little sunken boat that's like, it's like rotated and fallen on the side. I thought that was some nifty little object work for me. And then I guess the major thing that no one really talked about, but that's fine because it's pretty subtle, was the story that we baked into the park. And the story it was more to influence our like kind of world building as we built up the park than it was something that like I really wanted someone to find. But I did think one person might find it, like probably Gustav would be the person to wrap up the story.
The investigator himself.
Yeah, you can kind of follow it by tracking the boats. And so you get on these little dinghies at this harbor here where these ships have unloaded all of these coffins. You can kind of see them on the pier there. These really wonderful coffin objects that Alex made for us, actually. He's such a good object creator, actually. And so there's all these coffins, and as you follow these kind of dinghies around, they go into this cave on the back of the park where yeah, so they go. So one of them goes through Grimblow's castle, and the other boat goes around Grimblow's castle. And then they go into this cave, and there's all these docks where all these coffins are stacked really high, and there's cranes going through holes in the ground, and they're lifting up the coffins into the kind of the castle area here. So it's like this kind of smuggling operation. You're like, why are they smuggling all these coffins or all these caskets or whatever into the castle? And then if you turn the view to see the final scene, I guess, the huge crux of the park, there's all these like floating corpses, hovering over this goo, kind of implying that Grimblow is turning dead people into purple haze. Like that's the little gimmick of it, And has obviously captured Buxom, the Sunset Sorceress, to use her magic. Yeah, or whatever it is, It would be clearer if anybody had seen the third Buxom movie, but this is essentially the plot of it. We tidied it up a little bit, but...
Well, goddamn. Such a cool idea.
And the extra little bit of the story, which I don't think Liam knows about because I never told him, is that if you go to the city, the village, I mean... And you see at the back of the village, there's like this troupe of performers. Turn it one more. So there's these performers on the stage there, and there's these pots of purple goo in front of them. And these guys are called the Merry Band of Pranksters. And if you have any knowledge of 1960s psychedelia history or whatever, this was the name of the kind of group of people in California who distributed acid to everybody. they were called the Merry Band of Pranksters. And so, you know, the kind of reference we're making here is that the purple haze is being distributed. And even if you look in their little underground cave in the back there, you can see there's like sheets of white paper and then sheets of colored paper. And there's this little guy called Owlsley Stanislav, which is further of one of these references. So Liam
Kid
doesn't
Charlemagne guy.
Don't tell him.
He won't approve. He
definitely would not approve.
He doesn't even want mention of historical fact in his parks.
No, because we kept, you know, pushing this kind of like psychedelic stuff, and he kept saying, no drugs, no drug park. I refuse to do a drug park. I guess he was right in the end, so.
Yeah, you fool. You should have listened to your dad. Man.
It was just, that's what the plot of Buxom was. We were just getting it word for word, really.
Well, here's the thing. You can grandfather these things in. You can sort of sneak them by the old man. What would you say was the easiest part of this process, and what was the hardest part of this process?
The easiest part of this process was choosing the palette. Come fight me on it. You know what comforts me is I went back through lots of old head-to-head threads from previous seasons, and I pretty much went and looked at every park where someone did something cool and interesting, and I read the comments on it, and I was like,
and everyone hated it. Yeah.
We've always been the same.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to look back on those threads. There should be those like TikTok people who like do the AI voice thing for like Reddit stories, but do it for like head-to-head threads.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get
I went back and read the thread for Disney's American Waterfront versus Rolling and Tolkien, whatever that park was called. And man, people hated on Disney's American Waterfront in it. I was like, that was like the highest rated park of all time. And it was still filled with negativity. I mean, that's how it goes.
I guess in head-to-head, people have like a vested interest in like people not getting votes and stuff. I don't feel like it's been nearly as bad this head-to-head, but in previous head-to-heads, people have like brigaded stuff.
We'll talk in private, Sammy.
we can get our brigades going whilst no one suspects us.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest bit though?
The hardest bit was
deleting the walls.
I think the hardest bit for us was that Andrew Morgan and I were kind of on the same page here, that we like this park, like these movies are obviously cheesy and like schlocky and all these kind of things, but we didn't want the park to be that. Like, you know, we didn't want like a lot of puns. We didn't want characters like thinking silly thoughts about things. And like, I know that people like that. It's completely legitimate to put those things in your park. But the three of us were just like, we just don't want that. We don't want it to be a click fest. You know, you don't want to like all these kind of things, which, you know, I appreciate that people like them, but the three of us didn't. And we knew that people wouldn't like it. Or that gets you votes. And, you know, Liam was pushing hard for like more story, more little things, more blah, blah, blah. And he was right. Like in the last week or so, we added a lot of small story stuff that I haven't even pointed out yet. But still, it was like, you know, not to maybe that head-to-head level of kind of interactive goofiness. And, you know, we'll take the L on that because we were doing what we wanted, really.
No, of course. And you've kind of got to be unapologetic about like having a vision, even if that vision is like, oh, we don't want to do something.
Yeah. Or like, you know, this castle is the same color as the cliffs. Like we talked about it a lot. You know, for one thing, that's how you make a castle in real life. You take the stones from the place where you are normally. But for two, we just liked how it looked. Like we just liked the way the sunset washed over it, like this huge kind of imposing structure. Like. And, you know, that's one of the main things that people were critical of. But at the end, like, I don't feel sorry for it because, like, we knew about these things and then we were like, you know, I still like it the way we're doing it. Is Andrew here right now? No, he's not. Yeah. I guess something I felt about this park was that, well, I've been sitting on a joke for a while, but I wasn't allowed to say it because I thought it would come off as too salty. which was, I think there was two kind of criticisms of this park. And one was like, we see this vision you're going for, which is like this schlocky VHS fantasy kind of thing. And like, we thought that, these and these elements did or didn't like build towards that vision. And that's like excellent criticism. That's like, I think the standard of criticism. And then there was like some amount of people who were like, I wanted this park to be a different thing than what it was. And we actually had thought about that beforehand. And we actually had been working on a plugin to solve that issue, surprisingly. And the way the plugin would have worked is you would have, installed it in your game, whatever, open up the park. And then if you wanted it to be a different thing, you would actually click on that little floppy disk in the corner, and you would click load game, and then you would click Troubadour at Baladins by the Evergreen Gardeners. And you would get loaded into this beautiful medieval park with like this wonderful kind of romantic setting. You could enjoy it to your heart's extent.
That's always like the when you get in like a criticism that you have like no power over, like you should have just built a different park. It's like, oh thanks, cool. What do you want me to do about that? I think the thing is as well, like people are like posting the comments and whatnot, and they're not necessarily like thinking about how that impacts the person that it's about. Not in any sort of like, they're not like cyberbullying obviously, but it's kind of like,
I'm gonna cyberbully you.
I think I deserve cyberbullying. I think it's been too long. I've gotten away with too much. I tell everybody to fuck off when they've just spoken to me like really nicely in the stream. But there's that whole thing of like, someone's going to read that and have like a response to it. And it is like a level of like social competence, which is like a very high, like, a very high like boundary to hit. So it is, I don't know what can be done about that realistically.
Yeah.
People kind of like valid comments, but they do sort of like strike to like your core, or like you have like a response to it that's kind of like an ugly response to like some perfectly valid like information and stuff. Or sometimes people are just like not thinking whilst they're commenting, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like I worked so hard on this, and you're just saying, oh, you should have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. But anyway, as I was saying, like I'm annoying too, so it's like I get it. We're all kind of annoying here.
You annoying?
You give what you get, as they say, and I have been getting it. So.
Well, maybe what we should have done is we should have realized it was you who built the park, and then been really nice to it, so you'd shut the fuck up for once.
Who could have known? A couple of more things. The name of the sheep on this courtyard here, I've made that, and then I couldn't change it because I thought it was the funniest thing ever. I laughed for so long when I put that name in. And something that I wanted to mention. Obviously, we've got it on mute because we don't want to kill everybody in the call. The song was really Morgan,
awesome. It was such a cool choice.
Let's have Morgan talk about the music.
Yeah, because it isn't like from the soundtrack of that film. It's like contemporary, isn't it?
Yeah.
What made you choose that song?
Are you in, Morgan? I can give you the headcanon while he connects. And that's essentially that this is the kind of thing when you're 15 years old, you would go to your basement, steal a bunch of your parents' vodka, and like watch old VHSs. And like listen to, for the three of us, like, 2010s era kind of like psychedelic music. So that's the kind of like vibe we were going for with this. But is your mic working now, Morgan? Try it again.
Morgan!
Yeah, 1 second.
Zipping his trousers back up.
He's got a lot of money shots in him.
After I deleted them trees, it was a different story for Morgan.
Oh, he's gone. Yeah, what really happened was the three of us, we each suggested a song. So I suggested the first song, the one by Goat, called Let It Burn. It has this like amazing kind of drum track in the back that like leads out. Morgan suggested Castle Rat, which quickly became a favorite amongst all of us. And then Andrew suggested Gamma Knife by the Gizzard Wizards.
Yeah.
So it kind of was a nice little trio. I mean, our Discord now is just like song posting. Like, I mean, Morgan is the best at this. He's like shown me so many good albums since we started building.
I've got so many more too.
Yeah, keep going.
Yes. Fuck. What was I gonna say? I think me posting Castle Rat was actually the reason I ended up building on this map.
100% correct.
It wasn't
You're cool,
really.
You can build.
It wasn't really solidified up to that point, but as soon as I posted it, it was like the vision was like immediately communicated across the three of us. And so I think that served as a pretty solid foundational inspiration for like the vibe of this part.
There actually was a moment in the Discord back then where like Liam was like, you guys need to plan this park out more, like communicate more. And the three of us were like, actually, we've been psychically communicating. And then we just started being like, oh, did you guys get that? Oh, yeah, like that's a really good idea, blah, blah, blah. Much to Liam's frustration. Most of this park was to Liam's frustration, actually, which was kind of why we did it, I think.
Well,
yeah, he eventually did relent at the day before we submitted it. He was like, okay, I guess this is good enough.
Surely not. You're being dramatic.
Not exaggerating that much.
Liam. Don't you know when you've got art in front of you?
Yeah. Surely he trusts us to build a losing park that alienates the community. Come on, like, we know what we're doing.
What was your process like working on this?
Well, I mean, at first I was just like bewildered by the, like, I don't know. This is my first head-to-head. And of course, like,
really?
Andrew and Coco, yes.
Oh my god.
I was going to be in head-to-head 9, but then I had a bunch of shit happen and that prevented me from entering, unfortunately. But I was just like kind of bewildered by the skill of Andrew and Coco. At first, it's hard to adapt as a rookie, I guess. But I think I somewhat effectively took on a sort of floater role for this park, and just sort of like filled in necessary gaps. I did most of the supports for the coasters. I mean, yeah, and I helped out a lot with like preliminary planning and stuff. I made the circle map that was supposed to have the pentagram in it, but ended up not having the pentagram. But I think it's still kind of
there. It's in the bones of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you squint hard enough. But I actually did that little gatehouse and bridge on the bottom of the map, which matches Andrew's style quite nicely. That's like my tiny version of his masterpiece of a castle. Yeah, and then the stalagmites were me, although I think they were tweaked by Andrew because he just
this one is a
does
penis.
that, I guess. Oh, there's a penis there too. If no one pointed that out. Hidden penis.
Penis?
On the stalagmite.
Oh, there is.
So you didn't even know that. I didn't put it there. I think Andrew did.
Wow.
This is why Liam was so mad at you guys.
Yeah. I wish Andrew was here to tell us how he built this castle. I mean, he really just stuck it up there.
Yeah, no, it was crazy just watching it being built because he probably built at least twice this amount of castle that eventually got deleted.
Easily, yeah.
Or iterated over.
That's annoying to me.
Something I think is really satisfying about how he did it was the different sections of the castle have all sort of different textures and styles to suggest how it was just kind of assembled piece by piece over a long period of time to sort of add to that, I guess, historical realism.
Yeah. So obviously, like castles back in the day, they would take literally like centuries to build. Like
right.
Churches, they'd take centuries to build. They were like massive public works. that would keep like entire families in work for like generations. It's really crazy.
Exactly.
We just see the end results now from like a historical perspective, but the amount of time that, and the amount of like, imagine if we had like a building now, just in the past like 100 years, that was like speakeasy style, like Screameasy style through to like contemporary style. It'd be insane. So I'm really glad that Andrew managed to like bring that through, and you definitely see it clearly.
We
like
pushed
these
a lot
versus these.
intentionally too, was to be like, this needs to be built up historically. And I kept sending Andrew like threads on r/castle being like, look at how this bit was constructed 100 years after this bit, and like this bit's rotting and this bit isn't. Like that's what we were very intentional about that. The final thing I want to talk about though is the VHS effect at the beginning, which either earned indifference or anger. But which is fine, whatever. It is what it is. But I just want to say, I think like the most disappointing vote that we didn't get, other than maybe Turtle, I'm a big Turtle fan, was that Split Vision didn't vote for our park, because I thought he would be so impressed with this little hack that I created for it by using the twist animation to have like a decreasing effect when you open the park. I thought that was so genius. I was like hyping up to the team, like nobody's ever done this before. Like everyone's gonna froth. It'll be just like in Dynamite Dunes when it all exploded. Everyone's gonna be like, how did you do that? And then like silence, which is fine. But I just want everyone to appreciate how good that idea was.
It is like a really cool idea. When you were explaining it, like in the thread, I was like, damn, that is awesome to have like a change over time.
I was skeptical at first because this was, it wasn't something that happened until like the week before submission, probably. And I just had no idea how he was going to do it. But once I saw it, it was immediately like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. One day Split Vision will comment on it. Until that day, my life is incomplete. Unless he says a bad thing, in which case it's complete, but in a bad way.
You're going to have someone else watching the thread.
Yeah.
So you don't see it. Amazing. Well, I'm really glad that you guys took the time out of your day to come and chat about this. I really appreciate the insight into the park, and I just want to state the fact that the classic thing happened in head-to-head is that the losing park got a higher score from the panel. So you guys can take that victory. Might be slightly less satisfying, but it's still our kind of victory.
Yeah. No, thanks for having us. Sorry, I have to run because I've got a busy day. I would like to stick around for more. I'm not being rude. I guess I am being rude, but not with
No, you're not being rude. That being said, thank you very much for coming, and get the fuck off my stream. Outstanding. Love those guys. Right, who else have we got? Do we have any Lonely Hearts that built? We don't have Jens, we don't have Iretont, and we don't have JK.
We have the Lonely Heart, who everyone thought built it, but didn't.
Really? Who's that?
I can't. But I don't think I would be very useful. I don't think I would be very useful to TBH. I think we should maybe try to ping JK or Jens or Iretont.
Yeah, let's see if we can. Because I can talk about my input into the Jens. Iretont. Because there's definitely stuff that I can say about. Do we have anyone from any of the parks in the chat right now? Forgive me, I'm a bit ignorant on who exactly built what stuff. I know that we've got Scoop and Ethan coming later on. I've got who built on the other one? The Belgian guy. Forgive me. Someone do me a favor and get in the comments. Spoopy is here. Thanks for coming, Coco. I really appreciate you talking, by the way. It's awesome. Get Levis back in here with his disconnecting train voice. He didn't go into Goblin mode, though, which I found disappointing. There's only one person who can ever go Goblin mode in our hearts. I'll talk briefly about Murder in McAllan, just about my part in it. The victorious Murder in McAllan, the better park by all objective measures. Is anyone around? Where are we? Says RWE. Murder in McDonald's. Awesome. So this park was being like absolutely crushed by JK, Iretont, and Jens. Just really smashing it out of the park. But the one thing that had been sort of pushed to the sidelines was the actual like murder mystery narrative. We had all this cool stuff on the side. It wasn't nearly as sort of like full as all this stuff, but we had definitely like preliminary awesome ideas on like the pinboard down here, but there wasn't actually a concrete plot. And I was like, I can't tolerate this. I can't watch this happen. So I was like, mate, I'm just going to get in there. I'm going to just like make a quick murder mystery plot. It's just like doing D&D. So like it's dead easy. I'll just do dialogue like I do for D&D. Anyway, hours upon hours later, I'd finished like actually crafting the overall narrative, because there wasn't a huge amount in the way of things linking to like the next thing. There was like vague points which go, we're going to have this, and we're going to have this, and we're going to have this scene, and there's going to be like the phone on the thing. But in terms of the actual concrete stuff that was going to be there wasn't anything, because they were too busy like churning out this like amazing park. So Sammy swooped in and spent ages writing it up. I had some amazing like clutch support from the team, but basically everything that's in there is the first draft that I wrote, which is either incredibly shocking or not surprising at all, depending on your perspective. I believe it was the sort of like the omnipresent amusement parker who actually printed out the audio. We love you, Jens. Jens has just said that he can't speak. But I will continue chundering on about audio. It was Parker who made I think it was Parker anyway. Feel free to correct me, any of the teammates.
It was me.
It was good. He did just an amazing job of like, whilst I was sleeping, basically printing out all of this audio. And then I went in, and because AI audio is kind of terrible and awful, it had so much dead air in it that I had to go into all the audio files and cut out all of the like strange pauses. And you can probably like detect that in some places. I know at the beginning of the first audio file, there's like a really weird, this is T.I. Tolsimir, and it like goes over itself just because there was like a really awkward gap in there. And that took absolutely ages. But I'm really glad that with the work of the team, everybody working together and having this like really like functional skeleton but there wasn't like the full dialogue. And I could just come in and churn out this dialogue and give it that sort of narrative backbone to support the sort of visual and environmental storytelling that was being made all the while by like the little scenes that are going on, like this stuff and all this stuff, supporting that with the audio side. And we can attribute that to the advancements in the actual technology of the new save format and the ability to like add audio to like parks innately. This would have been impossible back in the day, because I don't know whether any boomers can attest to this. You could have two wave files and you could only name them custom 1 and custom 2. And I don't know about all of y'all, I wouldn't copy and paste those files. I'm so sorry to everybody. I know it's kind of like controversial with the plugins and stuff. So be like, I didn't copy and paste a plugin in, so you're not getting the full experience. But I would never put the music in, because why would I? These enormous files and stuff. So my sincere apologies to everybody. But being able to have them innate and you can just click on them and you can just let them go is amazing, and it's something that I feel like everybody should be doing because it's so easy to do and it is really effective, I think. I know that it took people a little while to figure out that you could click on these and open them, and then it would play the thingy, but that's our fault for not making it more clear. I also made the like the general music that's going on and all like the ambient sounds in this one. And at the fear of sounding, fear of just being boring, I'll just say that it was really fun to sort of like spoof all the captains, obviously, and take the mick a bit. But it really is a love letter to you guys. We wouldn't have felt comfortable like doing such silly stuff if it wasn't so obvious that you guys are all awesome and can take a joke and see the fun in stuff and realize that it is really a love letter to you guys. To like put our people we admire into these stories.
Sammy, if I could just interject and say one thing.
Go ahead.
The park is not only, I mean, I'm speaking a bit out of turn here for JK, but park is not only a love letter to the community, but also to sort of his family and his heritage and his son. Because it's Scotland. He has a son whose name, well, I guess for privacy reasons I won't say it, but it is similar to sort of some of the stuff in this park. So I just wanted to say that, JK, I know I watched him from the very beginning of this whole process. He was just super focused the whole time, and he really had his whole heart into it.
He really did. It was amazing to watch this thing develop. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. Because that was a bit of context that I didn't really realize. So that's a secret for old Sammy as well. I don't tend to, when like JK like comments stuff, I never really read it. I just sort of carry on with whatever I'm doing. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Someone I respect said it, so I heard it. Yeah, it really is a love letter to all of you guys. And we love all the captains. It was a shame that we had to destroy Liam both in the vote and also his public image in implying that he's a murderer. And we had to kill off Gustav because he is too powerful. Yeah, we love you guys. This park is obviously really awesome. I don't know whether I necessarily have any insight into the build process. It was awesome to watch it all unfold.
I mean, I guess I can just comment. I can try to say who did what from what I understand, if that would be helpful.
Who built the build? Was it JK and...
That was JK primarily.
Just JK, yeah.
Primarily. It might have been some Jens in there. Oh, also along the lines of what Coco said, how he was sad he didn't get the split vision vote. We were quite sad we didn't get the Gustav vote.
Yeah, that was funny.
Because this whole park is made for him.
Rob,
but
we love that
a
guy.
Park where you killed me and you expect me to vote for you.
Hey,
I guess that's fair.
To be annihilated in Roller Coaster Tycoon is, the highest compliment someone can possibly garner.
But yeah, I just want to, JK obviously did like 50% of this map, but I want to highlight Jens and Iretont as well. Jens, I think, did the majority of the fishing village and the boats. I think the boats maybe should come as no surprise, given how Jens is just so fantastic at doing those.
They're just so clean.
Yeah, they really are. Jens has a very clean style.
No idea.
And Iretont really primarily, well, he did in the last few days. I noticed a lot of good comments about the ruined church toward the center of the map. That space was empty until the final few days of building, and that was made by Iretont. So one really cool thing he did. Iretont also focused on the coaster and the custom ride vehicles he did, which I personally really enjoyed the deer motif thing. I thought that was cool.
We can see it at the front of this train.
Yeah, let's see it.
Ta-da! And he done goofed as well because he accidentally made it without sound and he had to redo the. He had to
yeah, you're right. I
re-export
remember
it
that.
with sound. Or is there something about the footers as well? Like, what was the?
Yeah, so my understanding was Iretont had a new object set of new wooden coaster footers that he had not released yet that were intended to go on this coaster. And because it was being added to a park for the first time, I think something about how you had to manually add it to your object folder. And there was just a bit, from my understanding, there was a bit of a mix-up toward the end there where the person submitting didn't have the correct footers. And so there was just something I want to highlight for Iretont because I think he was maybe going to want to post a screen or maybe a release of when it had the correct objects in there and somewhere in the future. But yeah, there were supposed to be some sort of objects that maybe didn't get added to the final release.
Sammy, you have the correct ones in there.
Oh, okay, great. The stream. Okay, great.
Yeah, so the screen is correct, but what people downloaded, colors are like swapped.
Oh, really? So I never experienced the incorrect one.
Yeah, you have the right ones.
Damn, dude. So for some people, they might be seeing for the first time the beautiful footers.
Yeah, and I also just want to comment. There were a lot of comments about how the wooden coaster, people didn't really like the wooden coaster and they didn't like the layout and they didn't like how it's pushed off to the side. But I just personally, I know I'm biased. I really like the wooden coaster. And just one thing I want to highlight is just how, frankly, masterfully JK especially integrated the infrastructure of the distillery around the layout of the wooden coaster. In fact, I think we heard some comments around how the coaster was kind of pushed off to the side. And that is a little disappointing because I think JK actually put a lot of effort into trying to integrate the actual distillery into the footprint of the coaster. So, I mean, of course, people are entitled to their criticism, and I do understand it on some level, but I do want to highlight just especially sort of those like grain towers and the spinning sort of grain distillery thing. I just thought those were really well done, and I just wanted to highlight that.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for the support. After like 2 hours of talking, it gets harder to talk, so I really appreciate you jumping in there, mate.
Yeah, I can talk all day, man. You guys see me in the forum. So yeah.
Yapping.
But yeah, I'm a D1 yapper. But
be a soda jerk.
Yeah. But no, this is just I don't know if there's anything else maybe people have questions about or something. I wasn't a builder, so there's only so much I can say.
No, honestly, thank you for that. Much appreciated.
Oh, have we seen the interiors yet? On the manor? Yeah, let's just take a quick look at those. I know
many like cool objects.
Yeah,
like these chefs.
There's a lot of cool. There's a lot of new objects in there too, like the pool table. There's like the little billiard balls. Those are new Iretont objects. I know JK spent a lot of effort trying to have both floors while also making sure it was all readable without cutaway view. So sort of that layout, that staircase to the right, it might seem very subtle at first, but that took a lot of iteration because I know JK at one point he was trying a spiral staircase and one just having to go straight down, and none of it was quite working because it sort of obstructed the views of some of the other floors. But I think in the end, it was executed in a really nice way, so that everything didn't have to be reliant on cutaway view.
Yeah, because that's like the sort of nerve-wracking thing, isn't it? You can hide stuff like behind walls and stuff, and you can't know that people are going to like use the cutaway view. And I think something that the Lonely Hearts have done really well is sort of like plainly presented a lot of stuff. And that includes round 2, by the way. It's not our fault that the admins fucked that. I know this was that issue where we didn't make it clear that you needed to like wait a certain amount of time before you like save the park again, or I can't remember which way around it was. So it accidentally got scuppered. It should have been viewable without the plugin, but yeah, but like just doing like really clean stuff, really like well executed, in your face, straight away stuff. I feel like that's kind of like a Lonely Hearts Club hallmark at this point.
Yeah, it's really fun because JK is such a nice guy. He's a really great captain, but he at the same time, you know, he holds all of our builders to a very high standard, and so you'll get funny comments where he's like, "Oh, mate, I love that. Can we please just change the texture on that object?" And she's like so nice about it, but you can tell, please. And then it's funny dynamic because you have him on one side, and then you have Ned on the other side. It says, "That looks shit. Delete it."
Yeah.
So it's good to have a balance.
Yeah, you need both, really. Yeah, you do need both. Because sometimes you just need telling straight, but oftentimes you also don't need telling straight. You do need sort of like a sensitive, guiding presence rather than a man with a nuclear weapon. But yeah, we love Nin. We're glad that we're glad that we don't have to go up against Nin. We're glad that we don't have to go up against JK as well.
Yeah.
The boy gets wins. We know this. The boy gets wins.
Yeah, he's 2-0. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, the Highland games I think were a nice touch. The Highland dancers were like some cool new objects. I think those are Mama Rias objects.
Yeah, there's also like, I don't know whether people found this, but there's like a different music that's on there that's like an
it's like a
kind of
music.
It wasn't composed by me, but it was acquired on a royalty-free thing, but it is like contextually accurate, which is nice to have.
Yeah, certainly.
Amazing. I feel like you and I have spoken enough about this thing that we didn't build on.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a question, actually. It's a question for Rob. I just was curious. A lot of people thought that you built on it. Did you, like, what are your thoughts on that, I guess? Like, did you expect that?
It's nothing except that I'm flattered. I don't know.
Yeah,
this is a really nice part.
Yeah, yes. I would be too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just a really good park, and our three builders just did a really nice job. That's all I can say.
Mr. Brightside asks 4 minutes ago, why did Liam do it? Was that why did Liam become a murderer? And to that, Mr. Brightside, I'd say you can either open up the park and look. You can use your eyes, or you can. There's also like a transcript that you can look at. I don't want to give the spoiler over the thingy. I can do it in DMs if you want. There is an audio transcript as part of the submission that you can just read. I guess it doesn't matter. We've already won. I can just say that Gustav discovered his plot, and Liam couldn't let Gustav's, rumble his little gig that he had going. For what purpose?
Boy, was
we just
mad
don't know.
for jerking my soda. What an asshole.
He's a renowned asshole who doesn't let anyone jerk their soda.
Don't be hating because we're 1-0 on you, big man.
Amazing. That being said, Lonely Hearts Club, get the fuck off my stream. Thank you to me for talking out of line about stuff I don't know about. Is the stream still on?
Yeah, I can see it.
I've restarted the recording. I'd like to stop the recording. But we're back in because we've got some lovelies here. I don't know whether Trev wants to talk. But yeah.
I'm here.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Oh, doing well.
Amazing.
Doing good, man.
So if you would like to, just tell us a little bit about the build process of putting this dang thing together.
Trev, do you want to go?
I was going to say, you can start.
So basically, really wanted to build with Iretont again. So Iretont was feeling like a Scotland park. Him and his wife were watching, I think, The Traitors. I think something like that.
Traders.
Yeah. So they were watching The Traitors. Jens really wanted to build a murder mystery park, so we were like, okay, let's do this Scottish theme park and with a murder mystery slant. So always knew one of the crucial things about that, or where the story was going to end, was going to be the mansion. So I started building the mansion. And then the distillery evolved shortly after that. We started talking about the story, trying to tie in like key areas of the map. So there's going to be a fishing village, there's going to be a distillery that's owned by the mansion. And we started piecing together some of the landmarks around the map that tied into the story as well. And the rest is history.
Amazing. I yapped awfully earlier about the actual story, but what do you want to tell us about the actual, like, for as much as I sort of like did all the writing for it, what was the actual concept that you like went with? What was that process for like actually getting like a murder mystery down?
So exactly. So we started with the characters. So I always knew I wanted to do a whodunit, but with all the 6 captains, and then we threw Pothix in there as well because he's thick, and we just really wanted to see him in the park. And I always knew the killer was going to be Liam because we were facing the Dambusters that round. So I was like, oh, that'll be like really funny and stuff. So yeah, it was always going to be a whodunit with the captains, and the captains were always going to lead us through the story. So obviously, Evergreen Gardeners, we created a gardener, like a flower shop for them. The Jazz Cats we had playing jazz at the local pub. The soda jerks were brewing illegal soda in the distillery. So we tried to base the landmarks around the different teams in a realistic setting and just add fun to the process, because if we wanted people to focus and engage with the map as much as we wanted them to, it needed to be a fun story to kind of take them through the process.
Amazing. What would you say was like the biggest challenge when it came to getting this idea out there and executed?
I'd say actually doing the Scottish theme justice for the first 60% of the build and finding its feet there, and then really going to town and pushing the narrative. We didn't just want it to be a grand tour park, so we were always trying to find ways to pull out the murder mystery aspects, just so it wasn't kind of a GT park. So that's when the newspaper clippings came into it, and we tried them on the map edge, and they were looking really cool. And then it was like, whoa, what happens if these could be some of like the surfaces of the buildings? So that's when we started putting like newspaper headlines on the buildings as well. And you can see the red letters on the newspaper clippings. They actually spell Liam across the different clues. So if you spent time to kind of piece the clues together and realize there's some red, it would actually spell out Liam as well. So we were trying to offer viewers a different way to solve the mystery instead of just listening to the audio clips. The really cool thing about the newspaper clippings is they also gave us an opportunity to talk about like the competition. So it wasn't just like focused on our park, it was like head to head, like 10, Plugin Mania, like Wow Wow Lost. Like originally that was actually meant to be Wow Wow Flopped, but then we just thought that was a bit too extreme and it would have been unfair on the builders. So we were kind of using it as a tongue-in-cheek look into some of the headlines of the competition. and that was just a really, really fun way to do it. So Parker and Iretont really helped craft the CTRs, craft some of the images that we can see across the board as well, and just really push that theme to the max. They've just been the most amazing builders this head-to-head. They've supported every single park that we've had, and it's just been really fun to work with them and push our themes the way we have, because you just throw an idea at them and they can do it straight away. So that's really comforting. Amazing. I don't know if you want to say, Trev. I feel like I'm talking loads.
No, I'm just a support person generally.
We put like a big
Nice.
25% on this one. That's nothing to turn your nose up at. Were there any sort of details in what you did, Trev, that you kind of want to highlight, or do you feel like we've touched upon everything?
Well, I'm sure everyone's seen the supports differently than they look in this version that we're looking at now. So that was one little thing that kind of, what ended up happening there is effectively I flopped the colors, or switched the colors in the objects. I guess when Jen submitted the park, he hadn't used the right objects. So unfortunately, the submission looks different to most people. So that was just one thing that I'm still not even sure what it looks like in the other version, but I don't think it looks great from just what I know from the objects. But it was one thing that I know was unfortunate, but again, that's just something that happens with, the deadline crunches that you come through. So
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still fun building that layout, and even the ruins kind of in the middle. That was one of the spots in the park that it was kind of a dead spot for probably right up until the last couple days. None of us knew what to do with it.
You guys did a lot of
And then-
making sure things are in the right place. Like you were moving buildings around quite a lot, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, repositioning and just getting the right viewing angles, and yeah, it was a pretty important element as we were piecing it together. So
I love this park. I'm really proud of this park. I love like the foliage choices. I love the architecture. I love the story that we've done. I'm like really proud of this park. It's a very subtle grower, this park, for sure. But we really spend time looking at the whiskey fermentation process and stuff, and like what they do to try and do things justice. So we try to show that within the distillery, and even like the mansion interiors and stuff. They're all very like really small details, really subtle details and stuff, and like the Celtic patterns on the tarmac and stuff. We really kind of went to town building them in Illustrator, and then putting them into the object editors and stuff. So, and we also wanted to get across the whiskey distillery brand as well, and try and translate that to the coaster, to the distillery, to the mansion as well. So you'll see the stag like quite a few places, and it's just all like, I'd say this park is like very subtle in its execution, but it's trying to build up that really rich picture that we can see. So I actually think it's like half GT, half head-to-head concept, because the setting is very GT, but its execution is very head-to-head. It's just been a really fun park.
I don't know whether you want to talk a little bit about the idea that didn't actually make it into the final.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun. So we don't think people are dumb, but we wanted to give people like a bit of a visual reference that the clue was pointing to another clue. So if you just go to the newspaper clippings on the side of the map, we had these red kind of notice board style clippings, and what we were trying to do was weave clue 1 to clue 2 with the Caldium string CTR. So we had this red thread traveling across the map, but because when we got all of the Caldium string in, a lot of the walkways almost duplicated themselves on each other. So sometimes it was really hard to tell like clue 3 to clue 4 because it was already overlapping another clue point from somewhere else. So it was just starting to become a bit too obnoxious in comparison to what we're seeing right now. So we just got rid of it. But the aim was to have this tie in the notice board Chaldeum string effect with the different clues on the map, but also move to the different clues so people could follow along with it. But in the end, people found them no problem. So I'm kind of glad we didn't go down that route. And I think it would have taken it to a little bit more of an abstract place as well. So no, I'm happy with how it turned out.
I don't know whether anybody's played flipping heck, I can't remember what it's called now. The murder mystery game that's on the boat where you're discovering everyone's deaths, but that has little like ghostly pathways leading around, and I thought it would have been amazing if we'd got that string working. I think it would have been really good had we just had more time to just refine that idea, but as it transpires we didn't, and it stands so strong without it, so it's really no loss at the end of the day, but I do think it would have been awesome.
Yeah, agreed. I know it sucks, but yeah,
we've got plenty else to be proud of.
Yeah,
so it's really
exactly.
by the by, really, isn't it? It's really 6 and 2 3s. I don't know whether you guys have anything else you want to talk about, or we can go ahead and wrap up the stream.
No, just this section of the fishing village was absolutely awesome. We were on such a deadline crunch that we were trying to push, I'd say, the narrative for the murder mystery instead. So there's just a few little buildings that could have just had a little push in the detail front, just where your cursor is now, basically. But that is the only thing that got away from us, really. But other than that, it was absolute pleasure building with Trev. Again, our second win together in a head-to-head setting, so I feel really good about that. And finally got to tick off building with Jens as well, so I was really, really happy about that as well.
Yeah, I think I've been competing against Jens for probably 5 or 6 years now, and it's finally nice to actually build with him for once. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and win with him as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, shout out to Buxom. It was so good. We saw it, and the team were like low key trying to like keep it to ourselves that we loved the park.
We can't let everyone know that we love books.
Yeah, the palette was awesome. The castle was amazing. The theme was crazy. It was just a really great park to go against, and I probably went really grey on this matchup because it was just such a nail biter. It was absolutely hideous. I had to go to the pub one day on the final day of voting because it was grim.
Yeah, man, it was stressful. But a well-earned victory.
Nothing like a nail biter.
Yeah, it was horrible.
JK, Iretont, and Jens. What a bunch of legends. We love these guys.
We love you too, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Love all of y'all. Love all of my children at New Element. And without further ado, I'm going to immediately pass out in bed, I think. Thank you so much for coming and chatting. I really appreciate it, even if it was a bit on like the late end of it and I did yap earlier on your behalf. I didn't realise that you were going to come, otherwise I would have just shut up. But also, Rob spoke a bit about the park as well and gassed you guys up, so I bet that'll be fun for you guys to watch a bit later.
Oh, cool.
Once I upload it.
Thanks, Sammy, for hosting again.
Absolutely my pleasure. Love hearing from all the builders on all this stuff. Right. Do we have does Scoopy want to sprechen?
Do I? Yeah, I guess I can.
Awesome. How are you doing, Scoop?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm doing.
Just chilling. I both of our teams are probably just chilling.
Yes, some may say. Legend has it we are just chilling. For what reason? Nobody knows.
I have no clue.
Amazing. Scoop, tell us. Give us the lowdown on this, frankly, deafening park that you've crafted.
Well, most I think initially, I'd have to thank obviously all three of the other builders for putting in the time and effort, but mainly Ethan was such a workhorse in taking the concept that I put out there and just rolling with it. The initial concept was kind of an amalgamation of a couple different concepts. Gamma and Gamma, Josh, and I think I had a little bit, and Gustav. We all had certain concepts that kind of came together to form what initially was a city underwater. And it kind of evolved into what you see before you. I don't know if is it open? I am watching. Hold on. Oh, there it is. It was going to be more of a city at first. That was my initial thought, and then thankfully, many of the members decided that was not the move. And like I posted a screen of one of the early tests of architecture. That was my first go at kind of the feel of the what initially was supposed to be the front half as a city, and then you have the palace in the back half. But yeah, back to Ethan. I sketched out the park and blocked everything out, or most of the things. Definitely the palace, and then just like the pathwork, the layout and everything, and put the coaster in. But then once I got that palace blocked out, I just let Ethan have it, and it was wild to see how he built it, because I didn't know how it was going to turn out. He basically sculpted it out of white and blue objects. It was kind of weird, kind of stressful at times, but it definitely worked out in the end, I think.
I can imagine Ethan having a stressful process. I can certainly imagine that.
Yeah, there were a lot of iterations. I think that top spire went through maybe 10 or 12 different variations before Ethan settled on what's there.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then imagine that on everything in the palace.
I've just realized that these are layered up, like just
yeah. That was
ones.
actually my contribution. One of the
Is that how you earned your percentage?
That we did. Yep. my claim on the
That's
palace.
called the captain's slice.
Yep. I mean, it's like when you put a flag on the moon.
Exactly.
That's up there. Yeah.
You discovered this palace, claimed it as your own.
Yep. After all, I'm an adventurer. But yeah, now what do you want to talk about? There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. A lot of things. I'll just sort of, this is more of a comment than a question. But what you were saying just then is like, he started off as like a more generic concept, and then through iteration it reached a more refined idea.
I wouldn't say generic. I guess maybe definitely, I guess you could say it was more expected.
Yeah.
But definitely not like,
certainly wasn't as like novel as the musical.
I mean, we haven't seen
thing.
We've seen a handful, maybe not even underwater parks in general. So I don't know if it's quite fair to say generic, but I see what you mean. Because of the architecture. Yes, it was more of a city, and we see that all the time. So I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So was there like a lot of, did it just sort of like naturally progress to, oh, there's all these sea creatures making music and we've got all these puns and all these like really like cute vignettes and stuff? Did it just naturally progress there, or did you like iterate over, could we do this, could we do that, could we do
it was a very natural progression to that. Really the only thing that was iterated on, the only things were the palace, the architecture to the right of the palace, which Ethan also did, and then the surroundings. And I mean, there's small stuff that was changed that had some revisions, but as far as like major areas go, those were the only ones that changed quite a bit over periods of time. Really, the back half was the focus in the first half of the build process, and then the front half came quickly after that. And yeah,
amazing. It's what would you say was like the easiest part of this process, and what would be like the hardest part of this process from your perspective?
The easiest part was actually, I think, getting it finished.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Granted, this was supposed to be the fourth round park at the start, and then once we had our dropout, we were planning on moving it to round 3, and then I inevitably had to step in on, or help out. I'll say help out on Valley. So after that was said and done, we decided to move this park back and to round 4 and move Yucca up to round 3.
Yeah.
So I think maybe in that regard it was difficult to finish, but with the time allotted, we were pretty, especially with that 1 week, we were pretty good on time. We still didn't submit until the very end, but that was just because we were adding stuff. We wouldn't stop adding stuff. Yeah, I know. What was the initial question? Oh, what else was that was the easiest part. The hardest part, I think, was probably the outskirts. Either the outskirts or just trying to be patient on the progress of the palace. Because while that is amazing, it did take quite a long while for it to finally shape. And then I think the outskirts went through maybe 4 or 5 revisions, and that's the only reason. Like that was the last thing I think we really finished was the outskirts, the map edge. So I'd say that's probably the hardest or the most challenging thing.
It's a bold choice to go with like black for all of like the rock work. I imagine that maybe that was an Ethan.
That was, yes, it was an Ethan.
Yeah.
I'll have to post, or maybe Ethan can do this too. I hope Ethan comes on, because there's a lot of things that I probably don't know that he would be able to speak on a little more thoroughly. But there's a lot of landscaping tests that he did early on, and initially it was going to be more of the fish rock. Like typical fish rock style work.
Yeah.
It was colored black and gray, kind of gray speckled, and then I don't know when it happened, but Ethan kind of just replaced that, and I think it was the right move, because this feels really much more natural than it did before.
You guys won your matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding. I didn't just want to confidently say, well, it won you the match, and then you didn't actually win. That'd be a bit embarrassing.
It did?
Yes. So, do you reckon in hindsight you should have like felt less stressed about Ethan's process, or do you think that was completely justified?
Oh no,
it was
stressful. It was stressful. But I wouldn't change a thing about it, because I mean, the end product is we're proud of all of our parks so far.
So you should be.
I think we're proud of everything that we've created, even that hasn't been released. So, and that was the goal from the outset. Even if we lost or win or lose, we were just hoping to build amazing shit, and I think we've accomplished that tenfold.
Oh, definitely. I didn't, and I was just away. I was just geographically unavailable to vote on the matchup. But I thought that the match would be closer, because I thought that both of them were very competent. What do you feel about the matchup? What do you feel about about Raveland? Just briefly, obviously.
Oh man, Raveland's great. I am surprised by the outcome of the match, just based on early comments and the whole shtick of it's really hard to vote on these parks, and then sometimes the match or the score doesn't reflect that. But I mean, props to RW's team, because they really did create something special. The music, I didn't prefer the music out of game, but once you put it in game with context, the atmosphere of Raveland is top notch. That
it really is an awesome park.
Area with the stage is really something special. And of course, Belgian guys ride design is always something to be feared in a competition like this.
Do you reckon? No, it's. I was just going to say, it's like, is it like a bedroom Parkinson, like two like music themed parks going up against each other? But I'd say it's less bedroom park and more just like cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I was thinking about that during the release of the match. There's actually been quite a few music-esque parks. This contest, I think, like,
yeah, you could fairly say that Buxom
or maybe
as well.
yeah. I mean, I guess the whole of round 4, right? Screameasy, jazz.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess the whole round is kind of bedroom parky. But I think they're both different enough to
for sure,
stand on their own.
Yeah.
Of course.
Are there any sort of like little like hidden details or something that you feel has gone a bit unappreciated? Anything that you want to point out for everyone?
Details. There's a lot of detail. I think the biggest thing that I was surprised no one commented on, that I saw at least, was the shape of the map. And I think I've said this before in RCT discussion, but originally the working title of the map was Shell City, and the map is shell shaped. So I always thought that was a clever detail.
Yeah.
But then like some people mentioned the Poseidon or the Trident.
You can see the Trident here. Yeah. I just spotted that then.
All of the sea creatures. Ethan again smashed it. Sorry, JK.
Crab guy playing it.
Yeah.
A cello.
I was literally dying when Ethan posted that the first time. Like, that was such a moment when he posted that. And it's so simple too, right? Like, it's just a train moving back and forth, but it really sells the vibe of the park. That's another thing. The music was not originally supposed to be as ingrained as it is. That was a maybe halfway through kind of an elevation that we decided to go with. But then, like, yeah, that fish there, the puffer fish to the right, the starfish that everyone's commented on, that one's really funny. Yeah, there's a whole bunch like
Goofy
there's that harp.
starfish.
Yeah, there's that harp there with the jellyfish. I don't know if anyone saw the stingray at the very front of the park. If you turn 3 times to the left there, manta ray, sorry.
Ooh.
But rocking the choral guitar.
The guitar.
Yep. A lot of really fun stuff there. But then also like the cutaways on the back side of the palace are all really well done as well.
Something to be said about this as well is it does have legit cutaways as well, doesn't it? You can go inside and look at some of the stuff that's happening. So you kind of got the best of both worlds on that one, don't you?
I didn't know it was legitimate cutaways there. I thought everything was viewable from the outside. Only,
I think so. Like you got the glass
cool.
here, and you can look with a bit more detail at it.
Yeah. I think that was the original intention. Was just having the glass like that. But the funny thing is
like that.
as much detail as there is, it's like on the macro level, it's just I don't know where I'm going with this actually. I'm trying to think. I have trouble with words sometimes.
No, absolutely. Yeah. You guys have been listening to me talk for
I am not
2 hours. I'm definitely I definitely have the same issue sometimes.
Oh, I would much rather stay in the shadows.
You've been doing a great job of talking. You're always very eloquent when you come on and chat. So I don't know what you're
I try.
on.
Oh, one thing I should note is the pool there is goo.
It's goo.
It's goo. This is not a SpongeBob themed park, but there are some SpongeBob references.
See if we can find him.
I'm glad we're saying this now because I feel like it would hurt us in the contest. I don't remember where they are. I've only seen them in screens, which is why I hope Ethan is able to come on. It might be on the outside. Maybe someone else can.
Let me just scoot around. I know this is going to be like a choppy stream, but I'm just trying to zap around and see if I can find him. Stars of the show. I've seen the screens as well. Maybe they're not even in here. Maybe they're just in. Oh, I never noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
Starfish slinking off the edge.
It might be in the hotel.
Am I going into cutaway view? Let's have a look. See, I'm pushing the cutaway button. I don't know what's happening.
I think it's on the back side.
I don't know where they are. I don't know why I'm looking.
Yeah, it's okay. People will find them. They'll enjoy them. But they're in there.
Outstanding.
I don't know if you're up for it, but I would absolutely love for Gustav to share some thoughts about the music. Because this is another Gustav written piece.
I was actually gonna try and peg Sammy about talking music for a little bit, so I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity, Scoopy. Just once you're done, don't want to take up too much of the spotlight.
Yeah. If you're okay with that, of course.
I'm okay with it, yeah. Whatever you guys want to chat about, really. Whatever you guys want to bring attention to. I am much less in control of this than you might assume.
Okay.
I go with the flow, dude. So by all means, if you want to pivot to that, that's absolutely fine with me. But just in case you nip off, Scoopy, thank you so much for coming and talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could have got Ethan as well, but I'm really glad that we got you to come and talk about this.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad that I was able to talk on it too, because it was it was definitely a fun build, even though I wasn't on it as much as I like to be. It was definitely a fun build to watch.
Yeah.
Outside of the stuff that I did, and I'm super proud of everyone on it.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming and chatting about it. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure, Scoop.
Of course.
Gustav.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Doing all right. Just, seeking some shelter from the 50 billion degree heat out here.
Oh,
Before
man.
I start, I just want to say a few things. First off, this is my second favorite part of the whole contest. I mean, tough to beat Screameasy, but before that round began, this was like my very solid favorite part of the contest, and only Screameasy has changed that. So huge props to Ethan, Goop, Mulpier, the little teeny bit that ITM did. Second off, Ethan says he's at an Indian buffet right now. Let's give it up for Ethan. He's taking the Gustav pill. So yeah, so about the music, I was already very set on doing custom music for, Valley of the Kings because that was my park, but this one was also starting to tickle me a bit, and even before it was music theme, we were throwing around all sorts of inspiration music-wise for this park, and it was everything from aquatic ambience from Donkey Kong Country to the diving theme from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire to Plantasia by Mort Garson. The song that Ethan kind of considered the Sea of Symphonies anthem before I came in was I think it's called A Dimly Lit Path by 10Tricks Point Never. And all these were I love all of these. So it's guys, I'm begging you, let me do a custom song for this. This is a vibe I can nail. And once the park became super music themed, it was even more so because there's so much you can do with a custom score. We did have plans to actually export every track on its own and just put every track timed around the park. So it's you go near that little, what is that, a frog with a harp, and you hear the harp track going. Then you go over to the electric amp and you hear that weird FM distorted instrument, and go over to the starfish playing the trumpet and you hear some brass. Unfortunately, couldn't make that work, but
I don't think it's possible. I think that it deloads things, because I found this on Constellations, that when you experience lag, it de-aligns the music.
Ooh.
I don't know whether that was what you experienced. I think that as it stands right now, it is impossible.
Yeah,
but,
even had this plugin to try and time the music, but not even that worked.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. That's actually a genius idea, though. If it had worked, that would have been amazing to have the same track reflecting your view. Is a very sort of modern music sort of thing. You have environmentally changing music tracks in basically every contemporary game nowadays.
Oh, when is someone going to code Fmod to this game?
Hey, if it needs doing, maybe you should do it.
Fmod for OpenRCT2, I'm about it. But yeah, so eventually the time came. I had planned to write the song May, because I had some other priorities that would start June that heavily involved music, but I was out of state. Had to use my tiny sliver of free time to join the round 2 talkback, and that's when my phone died and I sound like a robot. But I came back and I was tired, and next thing you know,
it's okay, no one noticed.
A few weeks later, I'm balls deep in a game jam, which I'm doing everything for, original music, original story. I'm doing pixel art for the first time in my entire life. And then I have this.
Damn.
So I kind of had to just blaze through it as quickly as I could, and it took a little longer than I wanted, but I think it took a few days on and off. I just wrote it in Beatbox again because that's fast.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that program, to be honest.
I was really channeling all those inspirations I mentioned. The first half is kind of my take on the quintessential water theme, a la Aquatic Ambience.
Yeah.
A lot of Mario influence in there, some Mario Sunshine, some Mario Galaxy. And then, if you notice in the first section, can y'all still hear me all right? The stream's kind of lagging.
Can hear you, yeah.
Okay.
I can anyway, and I'm the only person who matters.
But yeah, so yeah, if you notice in the first half, it starts in a minor key and it changes to major, and this is because Ethan and I were nerding out about music theory, and we both liked how in Plantasia, the song from Plantasia, the album, it starts off in a minor key signature, then it repeats that same phrase but in a major key now. And we liked that, so I incorporated that in.
Yeah.
And then my idea was, okay, so a big thing I forgot is that Scoop kind of directed the music, and Scoop wanted me to sort of base it off the theme from the Germflux, from the Efteling. And what I noticed about that song was that it has two very distinct sections that are joined by like kind of a funky modulation. And I thought, that's sick as hell. I want to do that too. And so I kind of did. And I was thinking for each section, the first could represent sort of like the sea itself, you know. Just these big underwater vibes. And then you work your way up to the big ass freakish hotel. And it's like, now you have this big fanfare. And it's like, I think I kind of channeled that well enough. Actually, as I'm looking at this again, I want to go off topic. I want to shout out the actual structure of the hotel. You notice how it's actually kind of how there's like arches?
Yeah.
I want to say that was Dr. Dirt's idea. I think Scoop said ITM, but I remember being Dr. Dirt. Either way, like, big props to them. It makes it so more underwatery, and it gives so much more room for, like, other stuff to shine. It would just be so big and clunky without that. But yeah, in that second half, there's a lot of John Williams inspiration, which is new for me. I don't really, like, I've always loved John Williams, obviously, but I've never really, like, you know, genuinely used him as an inspiration. But you got some of that, like, Princess Leia theme coming through. That song that plays at the end of episode 4 when, you know, Luke and all them come home. And then, you know, at the very end of what I did, like, I leaned hard into that motif from the first half because, you know, leitmotifs are my wife, my best friend, and the best man at my wedding. I always love a good leitmotif. And then pretty much everything outside of there, the section after that, and then the actual mastering itself with Josh. Josh had just picked up a shiny new copy of Contact 7. He was willing to do it again. I was willing to let him master it because I was so busy as is. And he made it sound fantastic.
Really? So Josh did the arrangement?
Yep.
You just handed in the MIDI?
Josh took my MIDI. Yeah, he took the MIDI that I wrote, threw it into Ableton, threw on Contact 7, those fancy VSTs over it, added a new little section after what I wrote, added a lot of great ambient noise. Josh is an amazing sound designer.
Yeah. He's
and then he also did
dog.
like he did sort of like the ambience with the drones sort of near the entrance. And then he also did all the narration near the back. And the narration was fun. That's all I believe in.
Yeah, it's voice, awesome.
But like everyone was coming up with puns. Everyone was like contributing ideas. And I believe it was mostly Josh and Scoop, but just a really just great pun barrage. There's also a few great details too. Like there's a gym in the hotel and you can actually see SpongeBob lifting the plushie weight. And generally I'm not one for like super like crazy. What?
I said that's where it was.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay, there's a gym at the back. If you turn the camera around, I think twice. I don't recall exactly where it is, but there is a gym somewhere in the map, and like you can see SpongeBob lifting the plushie weight from one of the episodes, and
it's on the left from where you are now.
So just rotate the camera like
3 times.
3 times, yeah. And there it is, yeah. You see SpongeBob looking in the mirror with the weight with the plushies on it, reference to the show. Which it's funny because like scary. I'm not a big fan of super like meta references in an otherwise, you know, like seriously built and developed world. But this was kind of a whimsical park as is, and oh, thank you, Turtle. And it just felt right there, you know.
Not to cut you off, I'm just conscious of time as well, and we want to get the
Oh no, it's fine. I'm yapping. I'm rambling.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming and talking about it. It's always interesting to hear, because like parks are becoming very sort of like holistic like projects now. There's like everything comes into it: object design, music, narrative stuff. We saw with like McAllan.
Like we are getting so close to just straight up having head-to-head teams be like game dev teams. Like I feel like all this
it's feeling that way at moments, isn't it?
We can just straight up make a game. We have a lot of game designers.
Maybe we should. Maybe Head-to-Head 11. That's what Head-to-Head 11 will be.
Head-to-Head 11, but it's just a game jam. I'd be down actually. But yeah,
like
no, I just want to
conclude a many months long game jam.
It's been awesome being able to write so much music head-to-head. I'm glad that like I can really share this passion I have with y'all. Again, love the jerks. Forever and always a jerk. Forever and always jerking my soda. Ooh, and before, I forgot to. You already loaded Raveland, but the last thing is, if you do cut away on the octopus, Fred's there.
Oh yeah, I think we found Fred, didn't we?
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much to both Scoop and Gustav for taking the time out to talk to us. Thank you, Gustav.
Love you, Sammy.
Love you guys too.
You too, man.
Mwah, 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 mwah. My sweethearts. Righty then. Before we get too long in the tooth to burn too much of the candle, before we jerk our sodas to completion, we need to talk about Raveland from the Evergreen Gardeners. To help us remain evergreen, we'll get some of the. Well, have we got any of the builders? But we do have RWE. Get in there, Timo. Hello, darling. How are you?
Good evening. My candle is already burned down, kind of, but I can try to talk about the park.
That would be amazing.
I've been to a pub tonight and drank some beers, but I can try. First of all, I want to say sorry again for not having a gardener here last time. Pretty busy times for most of us at the moment.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, I can talk about a little about this, and I think it will be fun.
Yeah, please do. You know, you've got that authoritative captain perspective, so I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, from a captain's perspective, this park was very complicated. I must say. It all started with round 2, kind of, because when we were talking about round 2 ideas, Belgian guy already had the idea to make like an outback park. It was supposed to be basically an Australian action park, something like that. But we decided not to do that idea in round 2 and did the Silk Park instead. And from the beginning of the contest, I had planned for a late realism park, probably featuring G-Force, Belgian guy, and Coastable. But then we also had the G-Force dropout, so we kind of needed to, we needed to look for alternatives, and that's how, we got back to the idea Belgian guy had for round 2, and created that new concept of a rave park in the desert, based on stuff like a Burning Man, or there also is a desert festival in I think Croatia or something, somewhere in the Balkans, and those have been our references. And when G-Force dropped out, we knew that we needed to pick up Solaki because he worked on X Games, and this concept is kind of similar, so we thought he would be great for this park. And that basically was how the idea was born. I hope you can understand me correctly, because Liam P is saying that my speech is slurring, but I'll try.
I think it's taking the piss.
All right, we'll shit talk him later because we are facing next round.
Gotta be done.
And maybe, yeah,
He's trying to demoralize you, man. Don't take it lying down.
Oh, I can say another aspect we had for round 4. So I had 2 parks planned for the late part of the contest. This one and the one that is going to be in round 5.
I know you've had your beers. Don't be spoiling anything.
No. I just want to say that we deliberately decided to put this park round 4 to give us more room to make round 5 even more epic. So be prepared, Liam. Be prepared. But yeah. Anyway, going back to this park. Belgian guy was the lead builder. He did the coaster, which is amazing, I think. He has a very different approach to many other builders that are around at the moment. He's very coaster focused, which I love. So yeah, he basically first built the coaster and then plans a park around it. I think other builders are having different strategies, especially in head-to-head. Which is why this park doesn't have that wheel centerpiece like in the middle or something. It has the giant stage, which was also done by Belgian guy.
It's an awesome stage, like really good use of like half diagonals, and it feels very contextually like relevant. It's very idiosyncratic and very feels diegetic.
Definitely. I also love that it includes some different theming with those Russian roofs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really cool, like thematic, sort of like idea to go with that, and then having the very sort of like ravey, sort of like spiky roof part that just feels so real, and getting the Parker getting his credit yet again, and these screens are awesome as well.
Oh yeah, those screens are incredible. Those and the ones in the sex cave as well. Yeah, they're also 2 screens showcasing the pole dancers. Yeah, MK was a very good supportive builder for this park. He had a lot of smart ideas, like those screens or the how do you call them in English? The loudspeakers, the animated object. Also done by MK. Very nice touch, I think. Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but then we had, as said, Zalaki, who did the Armadillo tent and some stuff here and there, and Fish, who joined this park later on, and who basically just was on there to get it over the finish line to add some little touches here and there and make it a completed park. I think this park kind of is the most finished park out of the ones we submitted.
It feels very like conceptually complete. It feels very finished. It has a level of polish that is just really awesome.
Yeah. We had like a few hours before the deadline. We had moments where people were like, "I don't know what to do on this anymore because it feels so finished." And it's very nice as a captain to see the team develop that way. Because especially after round 3, I mean, we didn't talk about round 3 on here. But the finishing of round 3 was a mess. It was very difficult. Very bad timings. I needed to stay up at night so I could build on the park and stuff like that. But round 4
once we're done with this one, we can go back and talk about that, because I feel like we did miss your insight on that last time. So I'd be happy to talk about that a little bit as well.
I mean, if you have the time and if people want to know, we can definitely do that.
Well, I'm here to do this. I've blocked it out, so we can definitely talk about that. And I feel like it would be a shame not to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Seeing as we
true.
have the
I
pleasure
think
of
you,
your
you
company.
you did it some justice by talking about it last time, but yeah, we definitely can do that. But back to this, yeah, the finishing process of this park was so relaxing. It was very it was a relief to see the boys work like that, and basically everyone on the team, even those who didn't build on the park, get involved in the finishment. I think especially Six Tracks also did a lot on the last days regarding object making and stuff like that. Very great player, kind of our MVP so far, if you ask me. But yeah, there are so many nice little ideas in this park. We brainstormed together, and then the boys included them. Very nice. Really love how the entrance turned out with that stature.
Yeah, the sculpture's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the ideas Fish gave to the park, and which I think elevated it a lot. Also, Fish did like the outskirts, these tents, and all the stuff surrounding the park. I think there are a lot of funny details in there, like that tent with the sign over there, that bloody tent, and yeah, some weird vehicles put in there here and there and stuff like that. Was very fun to build for him, I think. Of course, that flat ride is very nice as well. Probably, I mean, it's my team, so it's always difficult to say that, but it's probably one of my favorites from the contest. Looks very nice. And yeah, that was also made by Fish. I have no idea what the fuck this is, but it looks nice.
Yeah, I agree. It's making me think of Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah,
it
maybe.
Looks nothing like it, but it has that.
You know,
vibe to
it kind of looks like it's out of a Ghibli film as well, and I know that Fish is a Ghibli enjoyer, so maybe
certified Ghibli.
He got it from there, yeah.
He's in the back enjoying his Ghibli.
Yeah. It looks a bit Mad Max-like, I think.
Yeah, it is quite Mad Max as well. That like makeshift. And it's always contexts like this always have like a Mad Max-ness about them because they are sort of like feral experiences in the desert.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, that floral ride, by the way, and the surroundings was the stuff Coastable mostly did.
Oh, awesome.
Maybe that's also worth mentioning. He really struggled to get on that park, and I'm also very sorry because we had, as I said earlier, we had other concepts lying around and actually also other parks he built on. But in the end, it just didn't work out, and yeah. He just had a small contribution here, but still a very valuable member of the team.
Coaster Bill's awesome. We love a bit of Bill in our lives. It's Nacho stand as well.
Oh yeah,
I think that's just like cool little details. It feels very complete.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of those details is the stuff Zulaki brought to the map. Like that natural stand was made by him, and he has nice little ideas for little sculptures and things here and there. Oh yeah, also there are the protection, the projection right next to the building. Another nice MK idea. As well as the Evergreen Gardeners sign on the stage on the right. If you, rotate the view, that one. I think MK had the idea and Six Flags did the object or something like that. Very nice as well.
It's cool that these objects have come out as well. Taken from.
Oh yeah.
Are they recolors?
Yeah. I think there is some stuff on this map, which is kind of abstract, artsy, which kind of dives into that vibe. I've seen Liam's comment in voice chat saying that he struggled to understand some of the flat rights, or especially the one we were looking at earlier, because they felt so abstract. But I don't know. Some of the stuff I also don't understand, but I'm also not really into wave culture. So I might not get some of the reference here and there. But it definitely all has some sense to it. Yeah.
It's just vibey as well. Just sets a vibe.
Yeah, true.
You know, I'm not, as someone who's never been drunk or done any drugs, you know, I don't know about any of all the rave stuff, which is very, it's not dependent on drugs, but it is very interlinked with it. I don't know about, I don't like loud noises as well. I don't like them.
I mean, I've been to some festivals and stuff, and I will like music, but this kind of music really isn't my kind, I must say. But yeah, maybe one or two more things to point out in this park. Probably we see it on the top right now, the flamethrower guy. Very cool little detail.
So let's go.
I think one of my favorites from the park. Yeah, fire breather actually. Very cool. Yeah, I think there's one last thing that I want to point out on this, if you may, Sammy. If we go back to the main stage, which I love, some people also appreciated when reviewing. I think the crowd in front of the main stage. I think we have seen a lot of big RCT crowd in the past, but I think this one is one of the best probably. They put so much attention into making this as realistic as possible with the flags. Then we have those crowd servers.
And like these
going there. Yeah, some objects, some rides actually with people riding stuff, and also the colors of the peeps. Like all the peeps standing next to the stage are they have their
shirts off.
Their shirts off, yeah, exactly. And we have a little mosh pit at the back, I think. So, yeah, they really put a lot of dedication in these small things, and that's something I really appreciate. And that's really something I wanted to enforce on my team as a captain. And I'm really glad that the boys managed to follow that philosophy with this park very well.
That's awesome.
Oh, also,
this is a good park. I like this park.
Yeah, it's a shame we lost again. It puts us in a very hard situation for the last round. But we still believe. We still believe.
Well, I believe in you as well. I think that every team deserves to go through, which is the annoying thing. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I just don't want to see unfinished Semi's Park after the contest this time. I really hope that even the teams that don't go through, and I will try to enforce that on my team, and I'm hoping that others do that too, will manage to get those parks finished anyway, because I think there are some gems lying around there, definitely.
Oh,
I mean, the quality has been so high this head-to-head. I can't imagine how playoffs parks must look like.
Well, we'll find out. Lonely Hearts Club, we haven't started doing any of that yet. We're going to leave it till 2 days before the deadline, then we'll begin. That's what we've done with every park we've done so far. We built them maybe in about 2 or 3 hours.
I got some intel that's a little different from what you're saying, but
I don't know what you're on about. I'm actually yeah, it's because JK keeps saying to us, "You need to start building. You start building." We just keep going. I don't care. Who are you? Stop talking to me. Amazing. Should we have a brief look at the yards as well?
Oh yeah, I'm getting very tired at the moment, but yeah, we can take a look.
Awesome. I'll try and navigate this without doxing.
So yeah, I advise everyone to get their flashlights out so you can look at the park.
So you can see what's going on. Thank you for telling us all about.
I mean, after the little. No worries, man. Very, very much love to. All right. I hope you guys can see something. This is the yards, our World 3 park. So yeah, what can I say about this one that you might not know? I mean, obviously, this park is made by Hydro and Barnet, and also I had a little showing on it. I mostly did like the water and the surroundings. Some little things here and there helped to get it over the finish line, which, as said earlier, was a mess. You can see that looking at that obvious peep gem, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that is unfortunate. I'd call that unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it lost us some votes, and that's that's very sad because overall I think out of the 4 parks you guys have seen from us yet, this one definitely is the one with the highest quality. Like look at that scene we're on right now, and it just. I can't get how Hydro can build, without a grid like that. All that half diagonal stuff is very amazing.
It's crazy.
Also, there are many new objects in this park. I don't know if people have noticed, but I really wanted. So I've spoken to Hydro before the contest. About his ambitions for this head-to-head and what he wanted. And I really wanted to not make him hurry from park to park like he sometimes needed to in past contests. Wanted to give him like that one park he can work on and he can really grind on and make it his great showing for the contest. So I was pretty loose on him regarding to which concepts, which ideas he wanted to do, and pretty early on he proposed this concept. So I agreed to it, and I also thought that Barnet was a nice fit on it as well. So regarding who built what, as said, I did the water and some of the surroundings, and basically the right side of the park. Looking from the view we're on right now was made by Hydro, and the left side was made by Barnet. There have been a few crossings, but it was pretty basic. I think it's all kind of cohesive, but you can also see like if you know that these 2 sides have been built by different builders, you can kind of see it as well. As said, great showing of the boys. Unfortunate again we lost, but I still feel like this park will be very influential on some people. People will come back to it and look especially at the half diagonal stuff and at some of the architecture they did in here and get influenced by it in their own stuff and that's very nice.
What's the like concept of this park? Like the it's very like a distinct aesthetic. What was the how did you settle on this idea?
It kind of started last head-to-head when I had the idea to make an industrial park at the Serial Killers. And I wanted to make like a really abandoned industry park with theme park inside. So theme park inside an abandoned industry. Something I was always intrigued with, and as we got on the team, we found out that Hydro also was always intrigued with this kind of abandoned industry look. And so the original concept basically was that the owner of that industry died, and kind of as his last hooray, he decided to make one big last party inside of his old factory. That was kind of the story we had in mind when starting it, and then kind of same-ish as with our own 2 park actually. We used a lot of AI in the early process to create images based on that story, and those images really, sadly, I don't know if I can share them with you, but you can imagine kind of how they looked like, because they very much look like this park. It's kind of amazing how well Hydro and Barnet managed to copy these images. The AI created for us, because they had like all the lights and stuff, and that nightish feeling we wanted to get, and from there on it was pretty straightforward, I would say. I don't know if there was any other big reference. I mean, one could say like the coaster and the big tower, the coaster, the big drop tower. That's kind of based off that one coaster in South Africa. I don't know how it's called. In I think Gold Reef City is the park name.
Yeah, I think so. It's got it's got like a little whiff of what's that vertical coaster at Efteling?
You mean Baron and Efteling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of that about it.
That as well. Oh, but I just said Tower of Terror. Thank you. Tower of Terror in Gold Reef City.
I think we spoke about that.
That was some inspiration.
Without your presence at the last one.
Oh, nice.
The coaster nerds to chime in. And Rumi was here. It's always nice to hear from Rumi.
Very nice. Would have been even nicer to have him in the contest.
It would. I was just like searching for some resources, and I found Rumi in the wild, like not on New Element, and I was like, whoa, this man is 3D. He isn't just a roller coaster tycoon boy.
Yeah, we all aren't just roller coaster tycoon boys. At least I hope so. I mean,
quite a few roller coaster tycoon girls as well.
Yeah, that too.
And all sorts of flavors.
I mean, I'm in other communities as well, but most of them aren't English. I think NE is like my only international community I'm in. The other ones are mostly inclusive German communities of other games and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go back to the arts. I'm trying to think of stuff I could tell you about this. It's sad. We really struggled to get it over the finish line. We would have hoped to develop some stuff even more, like that hanging glider coaster on that side of the map. It feels kind of rushed. It also was an afterthought, so that kind of makes sense, because that side of the park kind of missed rides. Very sad. It's also a bit under-supported, but I think people haven't noticed.
It's held up by hopes and dreams over here.
Yeah, it's basically held up by our playoff dreams. I don't know. On the right, that Ferris wheel is actually based on a real one, by the way. I think. At least I gave the boys an inspiration pick from a Ferris wheel, which is quite close to my home, actually, in Essen. We have that old industrial side of Zeche Zollverein, where they also built a Ferris wheel inside a factory, which is quite cool. Also, looking at this angle, we can also see that the map edge is rushed. We also like wish to have more time to kind of develop that a bit more, do something a little more spectacular, like we did in round 2. Yeah.
I'm surprised
Anything
that
else you
said
want to know?
I was just going to say it's just surprising to learn that it was especially rushed. I know all head-to-head parks are rushed in some way, shape, or form, but I do think it has like a level of completeness that is really awesome. It might just be like the cleanness and the clarity of the builders, though, that sort of gives that impression. Like, I feel like Barnard, Hydro, yourself, like there is just like a very clean execution of that sort of stuff. And only once you point out, oh, the map edge is really unfinished and stuff like that. Well, I'm not really looking at the map edge. I'm looking at all the awesome stuff inside the park. So I feel like it did give like good vibes.
Like I want to look at that awesome stuff, just at that awesome stuff as well. But as said, like if you lose as a captain, of course you are like you're thinking like, okay, what could we have done differently? What went wrong? Yeah, exactly.
Don't go up against void extraction research base. Is my advice.
I mean, I think those parks are actually quite close in quality.
Me too. Yeah, it was a really exciting match to look at.
So yeah, it maybe have been especially those little things like the map edge or the hanging glider ride, which could have been a little bit more developed.
They really count towards the end. Yeah, those sorts of things.
The thing is, why maybe some parts of this are looking more finished than others. If you have those boulders in head-to-head with limited availability, what you sometimes get is they kind of build in waves. So like the main part of this park was finished quite early in the process actually, but then you have like these missing bits somebody needs to tackle on, and they get left right until the end, and then before the deadline, somebody needs to rush them. I mean, I could have spent more time in there, but I actually added myself quite late to the party here. Also, I didn't really wanted to mess with Hydro's and Barnes' vision, because it kind of was their baby and not mine. But yeah.
Well, I think
so in the end, yeah.
Didn't get the victory, but in terms of like execution of vision, it really sort of carries the vibe, and it's a really like you said earlier, I think it is going to be influential once people sort of once we get out of the hype of the contest a little bit, people are going to be coming back to this park much more.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, like, kind of the same with Raveland or Troubadours or Round 1 or any other park from other teams that have lost. 1 year from now on, people will be like, okay, wait, what was this up against? I don't know anymore. Have this won or lost? I mean, I don't even know if some of my head-to-head parks from past seasons have lost or won anymore. So,
yeah, it sort of stops being important once it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. I want our team to be remembered for building fun parks with especially a focus on those little ideas, those little things that I always enjoy when looking at other people's parks. So if I manage to do that, then I see this contest as an absolute success, even if we're going out. But as said, we still believe.
Definitely, as you should. It would be absolutely psychopathic to like give up at this point. It really is. I know some people have locked in and they are going to be in the finals, but at least they're into the playoffs.
I think some people also have locked us out already.
But you know, like you were saying earlier, you have no doubt got really good parks on the boil. It would be a shame to lose those parks, if nothing else. If you know, I think that like we were saying earlier, the teams are so evenly balanced it kind of has come down to like bad luck and that sort of thing, whether it's like timing from builders or you had to rush the ending of this park, which in the past might not have been so big an issue to like, oh, the map edges are a bit scruffy. Yeah, so what? It kind of matters when you go up against like a Screameasy or a Verb or a any of the other parks that have come out really complete feeling. It kind of sucks that it requires that level of, but it is awesome as well. Like me and Gustav were talking earlier about like, oh, now it feels like every team is like a game development team rather than just like a purely Roller Coaster Tycoon team, and that's why we make stuff that's so good. But it kind of sucks as well, because if you have like one off like a 3-day like bad run, then that can absolutely annihilate your park.
Yeah, I must say I have to agree about the statement about those little things matter more these days because everybody is so good. But I actually don't really agree about the game developing team thing. I think if a team puts up a park that's just great for RCT, they can still win. Even if they don't have plugins or don't have new fancy objects and stuff like that. I think some people lurking out there are also really enjoying the original RCT kind of look we used from past seasons.
What was it, round 2 with the NCSO park?
Oh yeah, that one was great. That one was
about as pure as you can get, really, isn't it? When you do NCSO.
Yeah, true. But I mean, there also is like that past season NE style look.
Yeah.
I also enjoy that quite much, and it's also something a direction a team could go to and still win, I think. But yeah, let's see where this develops. I definitely feel like those things outside of the normal park creation are getting more and more important. I mean, there's a reason we picked up Cedric as a replacement.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I don't need to hide anything there.
No, that comes across pretty obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Timo, thank you very much for coming on and chatting about 2 parks. You've got the record for the kill streak in the history of this now.
I think I actually chatted about all our parks now.
Yeah, your guys need to sort their shit out. I think they need to come down and show off all of their like amazing hard work that they've done, because they really have made so many awesome parks. Your team.
It's true, and actually we have been voice chatting in our team server as well, so I don't know why they don't get in here.
Maybe they're shy.
But let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, they're probably shy.
Well, we're gonna gas them up.
Maybe I can arrange something for round 5. Let's see.
Hopefully, yeah. I'd really love to talk to the rest of the team. As much as I love talking to you, I've spoken to you quite a lot. Just in general, and I'm sick of you.
All right.
Absolutely sick of you. Thank you so much for coming and talking. Really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who's shown up and shared their insights on the process of building these parks. Lots of love to everybody.